It's time!
Content in this video may trigger you if you're a pansy, a feminist, soy boy, a white knight. So if you require a safe space and you don't know the real definition of tolerance, I suggest that you turn off this video and go find Drag Queen Story Hour somewhere. You might enjoy that better.
All right, guys, joining me is my man Glenn Lawrence. He's the Manosphere's resident Hollywood heartthrob, and he's also the co-host of the Dragon Ship podcast with RB Thor, and he also does all of the producing for Apex Mindset now. Now he makes videos on YouTube, and a lot of his videos are, he calls them correction videos.
I got Glenn Lawrence with me here today, too.
Glenn, we love Glenn.
The only white man I know on Post. Welcome, Glenn Lawrence.
Mr. Glenn Lawrence. There he is, Mr. Handsome, Mr. Hollywood.
Try to count me out, but they can't count right. I was built in the dark, now I shine in the light. Took a few hard losses, but I'm still in the fight. Had to wrestle with my demons in the middle of the night. I got scars on my soul, but my spirit don't fold. I've been walking through the valley with a heart made of gold. They can throw their stones, they can call me cold, but the mission in my chest got a grip on my bones. I ain't perfect, I ain't claiming I'm clean. I seen things, did things, had to fight what I mean. Some call me a saint, but I know I'm a sinner. Still covered by grace, still walking like a winner. You can't knock me down.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? How you living? It's your boy Glenn Lawrence, and I got my homie with me, DL Saint. How you guys living? You guys doing well? I hope y'all doing well. Let's get into this. So you guys heard, you guys have seen the debate of the debates tonight or today. Andrew Wilson versus Candace Owens. It was a very interesting debate. I'm not sure it was the debate that people expected to see for either side. I don't think either side thought the debate would end out the way that it did. Today, you're going to get our breakdown. Now, mind you, for those that know or don't know, you guys know that I am friends with Andrew Wilson. I thought from the very beginning that he was going to go in there and do his damn thing. And DLC, my homie, originally did not think Andrew was going to do good.
I did not. I did not. I thought he was going to get beat down, to be honest with you, but that didn't happen.
We're going to get into why we have come to the conclusions that we have come to. And we want you guys' input in the chat. So make sure if you guys want to get your input in, please send a super chat. You know, show support for the channels. If you're watching it from DL's channel, make sure you show some love, show some super chats over there. Watching from my channel, please send some love and some super chats. You can also send money through the Cash App on the bottom. You see it in the banner right there. Send some love. All right. DL, like, you came into this debate thinking that Andrew was going to get mollywopped.
I did.
Why did you think that?
That was based on Andrew's style. Andrew's style of, debate. First of all, I don't believe that what goes on YouTube is a debate, right? It's not a debate. People use the term. It's one of those terms that's kind of got, bastardized. It's arguments, right? It's at best it's a conversation. At worst, it's just an argument. But Andrew Wilson's style depends a lot on him knocking his opponent off their square. He needs to get that other person in their feelings. And if he does that, he's able to then go in and just rip them apart. And he's real good at that, right? I've noticed the times when Andrew will go out and have these conversations or have these, debates, arguments, whatever you want to call them, whenever he's most successful, he does that. Whenever he comes across an opponent who just 10 toes down, devoid of any real emotion, they're just there to talk about the topic, he struggles. Like he struggles. And, but I got to go on the record and shout out to my man, Viper J. Viper, if I'm not mistaken, thought that Andrew was going to go in and do big work, I think. But, correct me if I'm wrong on that, Vipe. But I think that Andrew Wilson did better than I thought he would do. But because he was unable to shake Candace for the most part. I think it was a couple times when I don't know what was going on. I don't know if she just maybe was thinking about Charlie because she had a very close relationship with Charlie Kirk. Maybe she got to thinking about him and how this might look or whatever. So it kind of looked like she maybe got on her heel for a second, but then she would come right back. So it looked to me that Andrew Wilson was unable to really go on the offensive. I think he spent most of his time on the defensive. But we're going to get into that. And you make some really good points too. Shout out to everybody on my platform, man. Make sure if y'all haven't done so, come over to Glenn's platform and support him as well. Like, subscribe, share. Do that on my end as well. Like, subscribe, share. Glenn has way more numbers than I do, but we're going to work on that.
Hey, you guys gotta get, you're watching from my channel, get over there and hit the like, subscribe over there. Send some love over there. Send them a dono. So show some love and support. So let's first get into the weaknesses.
And look at the chat too. Look at the chat. There's a lot of people coming in. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to Marriage Cause Divorce. Mandrell's in the building, Viper. There's a lot of people that was expecting Andrew, I think, to do a lot better and didn't. I'm seeing a lot of. We're gonna get into the polls a little later, but it's some. It's a lot of shout out to y'all in the chat, man. That's what's up, man. Down to Marco to y'all, first of all.
Down to Marco.
And what were you saying?
Before we get into the strengths, let's get into the weaknesses of each opponent. All right. So this is where, this is where I think one of Andrew's weaknesses in the debate was this. Because he debunked one claim, doesn't establish the official narrative, right? Okay. So, suppose because she galloped a lot. So let's say she did 10 arguments, like A, B, C, D, all the way to J, right? And let's say Andrew successfully destroys A, B, C, but doesn't automatically prove that D through J is false, right? It certainly doesn't prove that the government's entire narrative is true. Negative evidence against Candace doesn't automatically is not positive evidence for Andrew's claim, right? And that's a very important distinction. He did dismantle a lot of her arguments, but just because he couldn't do all of them. Just because he did a few doesn't automatically mean Candace lost. So that was a weakness in my opinion, right? If you want to systematically take her out, you take out each point, right? But I don't think it theoretically that's possible. But I think that because he wasn't able to do that, it just didn't didn't look good on that part, right? The second thing I would say, the lack of evidence argument can be overstated, and this is just these are the two biggest weaknesses that I saw in his point, right? There's a difference between you haven't demonstrated your conspiracy and therefore the official narrative is completely true, right? And this is where he did that. He's you're lacking evidence to support your claim, so therefore the official narrative is true. I think that's a bad argument to lean on. But those are the two main weaknesses that I saw in his argument.
So I kind of look at it those who watch my content, you guys who know me, y'all know I really don't have a dog in this fight, to be honest with you. I was just kind of basing it on an outsider's take on what's going on leading up to this. And now that it's over, we're going to give our take on it. What Glenn is saying, and Glenn and I, we were talking about this prior to the show, and when we were getting ready for this thing, Glenn's going to make a whole lot of points about, like the actual topics that they were supposed to be debating and who made what, statement and all that. And he's right. That's where, Andrew really kind of did a good job. But I'm looking at another side of this. I'm looking at the overall optics, right? Because for those guys who are out there, y'all follow boxing, right? If you get into a championship fight, what do you have to do to the champ to win? You got to knock him out, right? You're not going to get the decision, right? That's just how it is. And in this situation, Candace, in my mind, would be the perceived champion. She's the one you got to take it to her. And he wasn't able to do that. Boy, but did he put up a fight. Like, he really did do his thing. So when I look at it, I'm also looking at just the aesthetics of it all. Like, if I were on Team Andrew, if I'd have been sitting there with his inner circle, I'm like, all right, bro, you can't go in there looking like a dockhand. You can't go in there looking like you working at Home Depot somewhere, bro. You're going to have to go in. You have to step it up a little bit, bro. Go and put on a uniform, right? Go and put on some decent shoes. I ain't saying spend a lot of money. You ain't got to look like PBD exactly, but you got to come in there dressed, ready to go. He came in like he normally comes in. A lot of people like, come on, man, what's that have to do with everything? That's a lot to do with it. People again, we judge with our eyes first, right? We judge the book by the cover, even though you ain't supposed to. That's what you do. So I would have said, man, take care of that. And then his combative style, which he saved really his biggest, toughest fight, like really bringing it to her for the end.
Yeah.
Right. He did save it. Yeah. He wasn't going too hard in the beginning. So, and then it's like, well, shit, bro. Like, at the end, it got to a point, it was like, now you look like you just throwing haymakers. Like, you think you're behind and I got to fucking just throw these haymakers. And I kind of looked at that and I'm like, okay, what, you and your team, we're ready with all these clips. We got these gotcha moments. What does that have to do with anything else? I think that Candace did a really good job raising doubt when they were talking about the case itself and how that case is being litigated. And hearsay versus evidence and people not being able to be cross-examined. She has done nothing but focus on what's going on with that case from day one. It didn't seem to me that Andrew was really ready for that part of the debate or conversation or whatever. He kind of looked to be stumbling when she's asking him, like, are you familiar with this? This is how they do things in that state. Do you realize that this and that? And then all the fact checking came out. What was your take on that? The first part when they were talking about the evidence, they're talking about the weapon, which I ain't gonna lie, guys. Again, I'm an outsider looking in, but every time I peek into what's going on there, it seems like the state case is getting weaker and weaker. You know what I mean? Like, and go ahead.
So this is what I think about the evidence, right? You have to understand this is like a grand jury trial, right? This is just to produce enough evidence to say, hey, we have enough evidence to try this person. The prosecution is not going to put out all of their evidence. All right? They're not going to show you their full hand in the pretrial. They're just going to show you, like, look, this is what we got. And with this, we think we have a reasonable enough case to go further to trial. That's all they got to prove there.
Right. So, and like, you go to the grand jury first. The grand jury gives you the indictment, and then you can move forward. But and people are taking. Go ahead.
So I think what they did was strategic. I think they pushed enough information out there to be like, hey, we have reasonable belief that this individual has done it, right? You got his own confession, Discord confession in the messages. The alleged letter that he wrote, his lover, Lance, right? Confessions alone used to carry enough weight, right? If somebody said that they did something and they confessed to a crime, that was enough before.
Well, Glenn, but it carries weight if you're taking a plea. But if you can come in with a confession And a lot of times the defense might be able to get it thrown out or something like that. So it doesn't always necessarily
No,
get you what you're looking for.
I agree what you're saying, but then like when it comes to this case, why did the defense recently put a motion in not for the death penalty? They're like, hey, basically they're saying like, hey, we only meant to kill one. He only meant to kill one person. You know, there wasn't great bodily harm, threat for everybody else. It was only the one person. There's only one bullet in there. You can't say beyond any reasonable doubt that he intended to hurt mass people, right? So they're trying to get the defense is trying to get the death penalty taken off the table. They want life in prison. Instead of saying like he didn't do it, they're saying he only intended to kill one person. That right there speaks volumes. Because if your defense is going to be like he didn't do it, and here's why, right? Their defense is he didn't mean to kill everybody. He only wanted to kill Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
That right there speaks volumes.
Okay. Here's the thing. Whether you pop one person or 100 people, at that point, it doesn't matter. Right? So,
well,
it
does in the eyes of the court when it comes to death penalty or life in prison.
But if they have the death penalty, then the prosecution just, they can say they're going for it or not. Right? Simple as that. I mean, that's a whole nother thing, but it's not going to sway anybody.
But it's the charging documents is what I'm trying to get at. Like if the charging documents is saying that they want the death penalty because that's what they're charging them for, right? They're trying to put the death penalty on the table. If the defense could say, well, he didn't intend to do, he doesn't meet the death penalty criteria. He meets this lesser charge, which is life in prison, right? That speaks volumes, right? Because it's like they're not trying to say that he didn't do it. They're not saying
maybe not yet. I mean, maybe not yet because it's like different phases of this thing, right? Still hasn't gotten to the point where it's going to get to a real trial. But her point that she was making, I'm sorry, let me interrupt. I'm just thinking like the motion that they filed not to dismiss the case because he didn't do it, but to dismiss it because he only meant to kill Charlie, right? That speaks volumes. That's almost an admission of guilt. But Glenn, you realize they can make a motion to dismiss next week.
Kill you, like you know what I'm saying, like that.
But Glenn, you realize they can make a motion to dismiss next week.
True, they can, but I'm saying like that first motion to say like, hey, he doesn't meet the criteria of death penalty, but he does meet the criteria of life in prison, is different than saying I didn't do it at all.
Which could be a technical thing, and the defense is like, oh, well, we got to answer this. This is what the prosecution is saying, so we got to address that. But they know full well that they're going to move for dismissal possibly down the road, especially after they get to discovery and all that kind of stuff. But the stuff that Candace was bringing up about the fingerprints and, degradation and DNA and what was stated by the experts, to me, I'm listening to it. I'm like, that's
I'm glad you
need
brought
to
that
look
up.
into.
What do you think about the part where, again, she once said Lance Twiggs, she thought Lance Twiggs did it. She was even speculating that his fingerprints were on the gun, and all of a sudden she walked it back.
That's when she was pressed. She lost. Yeah, that's the part. You know what I mean? That's one of those parts where Andrew was able to get in there and back it up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, here's the video because she was doing the same thing to him. Well, here's where you said this. Oh, here's where you said that. But what got lost in the sauce? This
is where I thought it was funny. She criticized him for bringing up clips that she said. In her closing.
But they were constantly criticizing each other. Again, not a real debate.
No, but
not a real debate. Like I've never seen a debate where people are doing what they were doing. It's not a real debate. So, but again, in the format that we were given, right? When they stayed on topic, I would say that Candace was able to keep Andrew on the defensive. He was able to get some good strikes in there.
What do you think? Let me ask you this. What do you think Candace Owens' weakest arguments were?
I think the whole France and Israel has something to do with it or whatever. Like the conspiracy, like when she got deep into the conspiracy I thought that was the weakest part of the whole thing. You know, because
So
she really does believe that stuff. And I'm kind of like, there's not really, you know, we got we got legionnaires on the ground. You know, I sent the information. Now, here's the thing. She could be telling the truth. There could be documentation. It could have gone all the way up to the, you know, to the current administration, all the way up to the president. It could be true, but we can't verify it. And she couldn't get into it. And then she was talking about information she was getting, inside information she was getting from someone that may or may not be related to or associated with the family of the accused. And again, she might have it. I'm pretty sure she went to talk to those folks. I'm pretty sure somebody talked to her, right? But it's like me telling you, like, oh well, you know, I got you know, this computer film or whatever. I got that film of JFK getting blown away. Well, show it to me. I can't show it to you. I had to give it to the government. But I got it. You know what I mean? So to me, that seemed kind of, I was like, damn, girl. You know, and the thing about
I just realized something. We're both wearing hoodies.
What happened? Conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. All right, let me tell you what I thought. I thought she had 3 weak arguments, right? 3 weaknesses. One, there was too much like insinuation, right? This was like, to me, that was her biggest vulnerability. Like she kept on like repeatedly trying to establish unusual circumstances, unexplained details, like suspicious relationships, right? A questionable timeline, and institutional conflict, right? By doing that, you are allowing your audience to infer a conclusion, and you can effectively make an accusation without explicitly making one. So it's very good rhetorical power, but analytically, it's weak unless you can establish some type of connection there. And she didn't do that. The second thing that I thought she did was horrible was like she did a lot of gish galloping. She would throw like 15 unanswered questions, and in doing so, she tried to create the appearance of overwhelming evidence. But unanswered questions don't necessarily mean it's evidence. For example, why did X happen? That doesn't automatically mean like X is because a conspiracy happened, right? Like why did the footprints, his shoe prints were different? See, conspiracy, he didn't do it. Like no. That's not good at all, right?
I'm glad you brought the shoe thing up though. I think that's where, you know, Andrew did look bad, because you had the police officer, or one of the agents or whoever involved in the investigation said, well, we have this picture of one guy wearing this outfit. Then we have a picture of the same guy that we believe is the same guy wearing the same outfit. Well, how do you know that's the same dude? Well, they're wearing the same shoes. Okay. Do you guys have the shoes? Like, are there are some markings on that shoes to make those shoes unique to that person? You got it from that person. And then you found evidence that this shoe was over here. None of that. You know what I'm saying? So I get you. You know what I mean? I want to throw that out because it was on both sides.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the state and the feds, like, you know, cash patel, but they were like, really, you know, it's like the state doesn't really have a great case here. And we haven't even gotten into actually taking a shot.
We don't even know if they have a great case because they haven't given us all their evidence, and they're not going to until trial. I don't know why people expect the state to expose their entire hand now instead of waiting for trial. Like, we live in this digital age and this technological media age now that we expect instant information about everything immediately. And that's not historically how these things go. All right, there's a trial. All the evidence gets exposed during the trial. Then the world knows what evidence the state has and the strength of their case. They never know the strength of their case before trial, right? The only people that know that's going to be the prosecutor and the defense. Other than that, nobody knows, right? So this is where I think her third weakness was. And she sometimes changed like the proposition. Like if the original debate topic is there was a conspiracy, and then the defense is, well, I'm just asking questions, then the burden of proof has changed. If you're merely just asking questions, that's one thing. But if you're asserting that someone murdered Charlie Kirk, coordinated a murder, covered it up, fabricated the evidence. That's a factual claim, and that requires evidence. And Andrew was right to press her on that distinction. And I don't think that he had an answer for that. Like, oh, there's a conspiracy. Why? Well, I'm just asking questions.
But wasn't
what
her
makes you
original
think that there's a
claim
conspiracy?
But what her original claim, and correct me if I'm wrong, her original claim is there is enough inconsistencies that we could go down this path and kind of see if this stuff is true or not. Right? I think that's what she's trying to do. And yeah, Andrew came in and did his thing because he likes to get you to narrow it down to one thing. Right? And it took a while for him to get to that point. Remember, he couldn't really get there to the end. In the beginning, he couldn't get there. But yeah,
well,
you're right.
Now let's get into like the strongest arguments for both of them. So I'm gonna tell you what I thought Candace's strongest arguments were. Right, and this is just my opinion. Skepticism doesn't require a complete alternative theory, though. All right, so she's allowed to ask questions. She's allowed to say, I question the credibility of this information. Right. She doesn't necessarily need to prove here's exactly what happened to establish the currently presented explanation hasn't answered all relevant questions about Charlie Kirk's assassination. Those are two different standards, right? Those are completely two different things. A defendant doesn't need to prove who committed a crime in order to demonstrate that the prosecution case is weak, right? But a journalist doesn't necessarily also have to solve an assassination in order to identify the inconsistencies worthy of investigation either. So I think that was a strong point for her. Her skepticism of the data collected, how it was collected, maybe how it was handled or whatever, may not be 100% the way that the baseline of it is, right? But like, I think that again, that's like her biggest, like, strongest moment in her argument. The second point I think that she did good on, she attacked the institutional credibility of the state. We do know that the state has been involved in some shady shit before. We've been lied to. I mean, the COVID vaccine alone, the whole Fauci case right now that we're seeing play out, should be enough alone to say, hey, we should be questioning the state. Like,
it's like Fauci.
How many people have died because of Fauci, right? So
Fauci did that whole Dave Chappelle thing, bro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th.
Yep.
5.
So like, so her like Candace Owens' broader argument essentially is, why should people automatically trust the institution presenting this narrative? And that's a legitimate question, knowing that the government agencies, law enforcement, political organizations, media institutions, and corporations have all lied to us over the time. Like, you go back to how they lied to us about COVID, how they've lied to us about 9/11 at times. Oh, there's WMDs. No WMDs, right? Like, there's enough information out there that we have been deceived by our government to question the government's credibility, right? So that was another good strong point for her.
Yeah, 100%. Iran has nukes.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk about some lies. But I think she did a good job of showing how it seems to be a lot of people gunning for her, right? Like, and okay, cool, it is what it is, but it seems how TP USA kind of made a turn. She was saying that she had talks with Charlie Kirk about how, his views on Israel and on politically what we're doing. He didn't like it. He didn't want to deal with it. And then they were like, oh, he never said that to her. But then she says, hey, man, he had the same conversation with Tucker, had the same conversation with Meghan, right? So I think she was able to kind of, she seemed credible in that point that she was making. It's like, hey, it seems like the organization now that he's gone is doing things that he wouldn't do. But that doesn't necessarily mean, and that you have to point out there's two different distinctions here. The organization pivoting away from what Charlie Kirk was originally doing has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's assassination is a conspiracy.
You have to connect those dots there, and there's no dots to connect there, right?
But again,
a widow-
as a
a
guy
widow
outside
being-
looking in,
But here's outside looking in, the widow being pressured, her husband just died, right? She has all these people saying, you need to do this, you need to do this. What do women do? Women like to be agreeable. And if she's getting enough people pressuring her from a specific camp that may be pro-Israel, she's going to be just, her husband just died. She's not the one that normally fights this shit. This is her husband. What's she going to do? She's going to fold. She's going to be more agreeable, right? Just out of like she's going through grieving. Like it's a shocking moment to see your husband get assassinated live on television, and then now you're put in a position to run this organization. You're just trying to fucking keep peace and trying to make shit smooth again, and just trying to get to a baseline where you can fucking control shit, right? And be a normal, some type of normal. So her siding with certain things that Charlie once, was against. It's understandable. I mean, it can be say that like, hey, yeah, she got pushed into it.
But here's the thing, Glenn. I don't care, man. I'm not giving her a pass on this. You knew what your husband stood for, and there were certain lines that he would never cross. I don't care how agreeable you're supposed to be. You say no. You say no. That's your moment.
But see, hold on. This is you and I looking at it from a male perspective.
I know plenty of strong females, man. Just based on that alone, like they're normally pussycats, but then they're like, no, he would never stand for that.
You said strong females. You said strong females. That's the key word, strong females. Who is saying that Erica Kirk is a strong female?
But again, I wanted to finish that. There's some women out there who seem like pussycats, and they'll give away everything else, but then they're like, no, not this. Like, no, not this. Is there been anything out there? Because like if she said, no, not this. Sometimes you got to draw that line in the sand. And it just seemed like she just caved on everything. But again, this goes back to that argument that, hey, these people took a turn. And then it goes back to her saying this wouldn't have happened if Charlie Kirk was still around. Therefore, I believe that some other folks were involved.
Well,
again,
we don't know what would happen if we don't know if Charlie Kirk would have changed his position later. We don't know that. We just know that in the moment before his assassination, that he said he's pulling away from the pro-Israel movement because of what was going on with Gaza and stuff like that. That's what we know. But we don't know if Charlie Kirk would have changed his position later on with more different information. That's what we don't know.
I mean, anything can happen in the future, but what we do know is he was a hard no. He was telling everyone no. He was a hard no. From the White House all the way down, he was a hard no. And then he's not there anymore. And then the whole organization pivots. And I agree. I agree. That's the point she was trying to make, I think.
But that doesn't tie to Erica Kirk, TPUSA, Israel, France had something to do with Charlie Kirk's murder. It just doesn't. Right? I think another strong point, like her last strong point, in my opinion, the third one, asking unanswered questions in itself is not conspiracy theory, right? Like if you have questions that like, all right, but something's interesting about this evidence. Where did you get this evidence? How does this connect here? That doesn't necessarily mean it's conspiracy theory. And so this is an area where I thought she had a legitimate point. There's like a huge difference between I have questions about this and I know exactly who orchestrated this. The first one is skepticism. The second one is a factual allegation. Like, when she stayed on the line of, I have questions about this, she was good because those are legitimate claims. But when she went to Israel did it, France did it, that's a factual allegation that she cannot prove. Right? What did you think? What did you think that was about like her? Like, what would you say her strongest points were?
I think, like I said before, I thought she started off really well with the ballistic stuff. I thought that even she was good at getting her blows in on him, like as far as those little jabs where you weren't an Army sniper, that type of stuff, and he's like, well, I didn't say I was, or well, your wife did. Well, I didn't know what my wife was saying. I thought that, and that was neither here nor there, but that was her way of, she was able to get those quick jabs in, you know what I mean? Like it kind of caught him off guard. I think she brought up some really good points about the messages. Like there's questions about who actually sent those text messages and why would you send such an incriminating message? Right? Stuff like that. Like, can they prove that this guy actually had his phone and sent this message, or did it come from somewhere else? What is a different source with a different person typing information in? Again, showing a lot of, to me, it seems reasonable. Like, oh damn, that is pretty good.
I think right now that's reasonable. I think in the court case that the metadata will come out and you'll be able to see whether or not if it came from a PC or from his phone. And then once it does, if it does come out that it came from his phone when he was in time of possession of it, you can't argue that no more.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. But again, she's making good points. You know, again, most of this will be hashed out in court. Yeah.
Yeah, as of right now, this stuff needs to be hashed out in court. It doesn't conclude that he didn't do it. Like she's trying to say.
But again, she's saying that the defense, the state has a weak case, and she's saying that there are a lot of loose ends. You know what I mean? I'm paraphrasing. There's a lot of loose ends. And her biggest thing is why is it no one's pursuing that?
But she went as far and said that Israel's involved, France is involved, and that he's a patsy, right? So she's making the claim that Tyler Robinson did not do it, and all these other organizations or people, Erica Kirk, TPUSA, are behind it. Then she walked it back during this debate. So to me, like, you can't make these claims and then say, "Oh, you know, never mind. I'm just speculating. I'm just throwing it out there because, you know, for clicks and views."
So Glenn, hold on, and shout out to everybody. You know, DJ DeMarco, I see you in there. All my people, appreciate y'all. Jody, I see you in there. What's good, sis? Shout out to everybody. If you're in the chat, man, appreciate you. Shout out to salute to Glenn's chat as well. But the Patsy claim, again, I can see a world in which she might be onto something, right? Because from the very beginning, me and you both said this. If dude took the shot, definitely a lucky shot. Toe bore, Mauser, that type weapon, blah, blah, blah. Is there a world in which this dude was involved to some extent? Like she said, maybe he was involved. I believe he was in the mix, but was he the shooter? Right. And then did they ever get back to, because, you know, like what type of round? Because she said it was some sort of projectile, and he was like, I don't know if they ever hammered that out. That was in the very first round, we'll call it, before the first break. But, you know, the fact that the weapon was located where the weapon was located, the fact that, you know, the different sets of prints on the weapon. You know, when you start asking these questions, like, hey, that is kind of wild. You know, like, how did he get the weapon up there in the first place? How did he get in position in the first place? Maybe he was on a roof and maybe he saw the shooter. Maybe the shooter was somewhere else. These are just questions. And I thought she did a good job in raising doubt, but I get your point. Like, well, you're saying because of these doubts that, you know, Erica Kirk has to be involved, and the French brought in the French Foreign Legion to be involved, and, you know, you have Israel involved.
Planes are following Erica Kirk. I mean, come on now, right?
I mean, like, bro, like, again, once you put the tinfoil hat all the way on, that's where you lose me. And again, this is why I just peep in every now and then. But like I said, like right now, the state doesn't. To me, it doesn't seem like the state has a really solid case.
Well, we're not arguing whether or not the state has a solid case or not. We're just talking about whether or not who had the better debate. In this talk about the Charlie Kirk message.
And this is where, like,
this is where we have the distinction that we have to make here is not, does the state have a solid case? It's who won the debate based off of the information that they provided, and when it comes to between Candace and Andrew, because the state has not yet made their case. The trial has not begun. So we can't even speculate on what the state has and what the state doesn't have. We can only go off of what the state has shown so far during a preliminary hearing and not the trial. So once we actually get to trial, then we can open up that can of worms of whether or not the state has a solid case or not once the state actually makes their case. Until the state actually makes their full case, I think it's best to, like, keep the state out of it and go off of what is presented in this debate. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but at the same time, the case is the state has stopped investigating, and I think that's one of the biggest things she's trying to show here. Like, well, keep investigating. It's not like you don't have the time to do it. And So yeah, it's like keep investigating. But I would say this: if we take that first portion up to that first break, I say Candace won that. I think she won that first portion of the stream before they took that first break. I give it to Candace.
Okay, that's fair.
And
So
again, like, Andrew was still sitting back, kind of, he's trying to feel it out. So he really wasn't going hard. But I give that first one to her.
Let me give you what I think Andrew's strongest arguments were, right? His strong point was he forced the claim into an falsifiable proposition, right? The official story, it's saying, like Candace Owens saying, like, the official story doesn't make sense. Andrew, like, can legitimately respond with, okay, what specifically doesn't make sense and what conclusion follows from there, right? Those are two different things. Suspicion of circumstances doesn't automatically establish a conspiracy theory, right? Like, for example, there was alleged that he was at a restaurant with the receipt, 300 miles away. Well,
there will be video for that. If that were true, there would be video.
They don't have any of that, right? And so that doesn't logically therefore mean like, oh, therefore he's innocent. Therefore it's organized assassination. It wasn't him. He's a patsy. No, the missing of the middle part of the argument has to be demonstrated, right? So it's like, this doesn't make sense. Here's why, and this is the conclusion, what I've come to. She's saying this doesn't make sense. Therefore, it's an assassin. The conclusion is like it's a cover up, right? The other one is the burden of proof. I thought Andrew did really good on like, this was like, I think probably his like most philosophical position, and the strongest point was and a person making an extraordinary claim like Candace was carries the burden of demonstrating it. If she's trying to say Tyler Robinson is not the shooter, that's a positive factual claim. If the proposition becomes there was a coordinated conspiracy involving Israel, France, and whoever, then the burden of proof is greater on Candace. Candace cannot make these claims without having factual proof or dots to connect to that, and she doesn't. Right?
I mean, she can make those claims, bro. But again, we talked about this before the debate. The tinfoil hat clan, they want this shit.
Yeah,
right?
But
she doesn't have to prove. She doesn't have to try to. She's not the defense.
That's being dishonest.
Well, like, she doesn't have to prove shit. I mean, here's the thing, and she didn't say this, but again, one of my takes on this whole thing is, I do not believe that kid low crawled into position, assembled a weapon, fire off a round, all within 30, 45 seconds, and then makes his escape off that roof, scoring that hit. I just don't see that. I just don't see it. And that's that. And so here's the thing. Well, damn, Saint, you got to give me proof. I'm just like, bro, I'm just basing it on my experience, man. That's tough. That's hard to do for the best trained snipers.
Well, you're assuming that he was only up there for 30 seconds.
Oh, but didn't they say that they had video footage of him going up the stairwell, right, with a time hack, and then they knew, and they said they knew what time to, their timeline has. But
I don't even think they've released a timeline that of how long he was up there.
Well, that's where they have the problem, because you have a.
Well, I think that's going to come out during the trial, right?
But I can't prove it. I made the statement, and then you're saying that, or Andrew is saying that if someone makes that kind of statement, you got to prove it. Well, how can I prove it? I'm not even privy to the information that's out there. Like, I give me the power to investigate, and maybe I can prove it, or maybe I can prove that I was wrong.
She's had the power to investigate. She's been doing this for a year now. Right.
But she doesn't. But she doesn't have the power that the state has. She doesn't have the ability to talk to everyone she wants to talk to. And again, how can she prove it without that sort of thing? And what Andrew was saying.
How do you come to the conclusion that he could not have done it? You have to have evidence to come to a conclusion that he could not have done it.
I'm just based on what the theory itself is like. Well, damn,
Well, then
maybe I'm missing something here. How did he do that? How did he get that weapon there? Like, go ahead.
Is it I feel he didn't do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, because feelings, that's just speculation and intuition, right?
Well, let me change it up. Based on my military mind, right?
Okay, that's
what I know about ballistics, what I know about shooting, that's going to be a tough sell. That's all I'm saying. Isn't it possible?
That's because we're both military and we understand firearms a lot better than Candace Owens does. But from her argument, she can't come to that conclusion because she doesn't have that experience.
Well, but she's talking to military types. She's talking to other people. I hear what you're saying. She doesn't. She's just conjuring up what she's conjuring up, and I hear you. But at the same time, it's like, well, hell, she ain't wrong. Just like a bro clock is correct twice a day. Just like, man, she got some here. The chat is wondering if you're gonna drop the link, and if that happens, guys, it's gonna be way later. It's not gonna happen now.
Yeah.
If we do drop the link, it'll just be one person at a time. We'll give you guys enough time to make your point, and then we'll move on to the next one. Is that cool?
Exactly. Because that's perfect. That's perfect. We will drop the link in a little bit, and like I said, we'll bring callers up one at a time. But you know what? If you guys want us to drop the link to do that, I'm gonna have to grift a little bit because you know what?
Some money. Glenn needs some bread. We gotta eat.
Like I haven't got a super chat. DL hasn't got a super chat yet. Like, come on now, guys. Can we get a little bit of love here? We're bringing a really good conversation. Two grown men coming at this and having an honest conversation about this debate. You guys are enjoying it. Old Joe. You changed your name on me, Old Joe. It's Old Joe now. He said $100 at least. I agree. If me and
10 people, $10 each. 10 people, $10 each. That's all he needs.
Yeah. If we both get 100, or we collectively get 100, we'll drop the link. All right, because we want to have this conversation with you guys, but we need you guys to be invested with us a little bit more, right? And you are the first covering this, slackers.
Nah, bro, this shit's been on all day long, man. It's been on. Myron Gaines was talking about this. And I was kind of trying to see where his take was on it. I think Myron is I think he's trying, and you guys correct me if you saw something different, but I think Myron is trying to stay out of it. I think he's just trying to stay like Switzerland in this whole thing. He wants to be neutral because, he has a relationship with both platforms.
And I think Myron came at it very maturely, he looked at it from a very mature standpoint. As non-biased as possible. Let me get to the last point where I thought Andrew did really good at, right? Something I would emphasize heavily if you're trying to analyze this debate, there are three completely different propositions people need to think about. One, is it possible? Two, is it plausible? And three, is it plausibly true? When it comes to conspiracy theory discussions, people move from 1 to 3 without establishing the second part at all. And that is where I thought Andrew was the strongest, because Candace would be like, oh, well, they only got the information in 33 hours. That doesn't seem right. Therefore, it has to be a patsy. He has to be a cover-up. Or Charlie Kirk is assassinated. Candace Owens Erica Kurt is the now CEO. Oh, conspiracy theory. She's jumping without connecting that second portion. And I thought Andrew did great at pointing that out throughout the debate. So if you ask me, I thought that he systematically called her out on a lot of things. This is where I say, Andrew's debate was, evidence, has to equal the conclusion framework, right? You have to connect the dots. And this is what Andrew repeatedly tried to bring back to the discussion was, what is exactly your claim? What evidence do you have to prove that? How does your evidence logically lead to your conclusion? And Candace could not answer that. ever.
I thought she did a good job in front saying, I think there's more than this to meet the eye. I'm paraphrasing. When he said that up front, I think her whole point in the beginning, when she was talking about the evidence, the fingerprints, the DNA, where the weapon was placed, when she got into later talking about the text messages, I think she made a good point. She definitely raised, a sliver of doubt there. And that's the big thing. So I don't know. I think Andrew came into his own in the second half of that thing. I think
this is where I think Andrew was right. Extraordinary claims requires evidence, right? If you're alleging a conspiracy theory surrounding it, like an assassination like this, that's a huge claim. You need like more circumstantial evidence, right, than just a regular claim. You need evidence connecting the alleged actors to the alleged event. Like, you need evidence connecting Israel and France to the shooting. She did not do that. She needs to have evidence that connects Erica Kirk and TPUSA covering this up to the shooting. There's no connection there. None. Right? And then here's the other thing. He called her out for moving the goalpost. If her original claim is there was a conspiracy, and then she changed, like, then after that it's being challenged, her position changes to, well, I'm just asking questions. No. Those are not the same. Okay, those are not the.
You give that again. That was later. That was later on. But that was later on, and that's when Andrew came into his own. So I would give that section before the break. That one goes to Andrew. Ghost, Old Joe, and Viper all saying the same thing. They think Candace is jealous because she didn't get that CEO posting at TPC USA.
What's the biggest question is today, this debate or the upcoming Lawrence Street beef fight? No, Old Joe. Actually, that's gonna be on a fight card. I'll tell Dia saying about that later. We're not gonna get into that right now. He doesn't know all the details about that. Anyways,
Greg, in the building. What's good, Greg? Good to see you.
Greg has questions.
So, but the whole point is, I think if we were to break it down, and I lost track of how many commercial breaks they had. Was it 3 or 4?
3. I think they had 3.
So I give one break to the early break to Candace. I guess that later one to Glenn.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Question begins.
This is what I don't like about going into the second. Andrew. This is what I don't like about going into the second portion of it. Immediately, Candace tried to take a victory lap. Oh, I won. So now you're just asking me questions. Well, I will not be interrogated. I will not have to answer for. You can ask me questions, but I will not answer them if I don't want to. That is bullshit.
I think the whole format was bullshit, and it was contractually agreed upon that he could just ask her questions, and it was clearly set up as some gotcha, maybe you can call ambush type shit, because they had everything lined up. His team had all the sound bites ready. That's something she shouldn't agree to, in my opinion, but she did. And since she agreed to it, she should have, she should have handled that. And you're right. Her thing was, bro, she got to doing a rope a dope like a big champ. She was, no, that's not what we're talking about. No, I already answered that. And it was like, oh, shit.
She didn't, though. That's the thing. She didn't answer it.
That's why I call it rope a dope. Like, shit, yeah. That's like when your girl, like, hey, did you bang that chick? Oh, did you bang Sally? Oh, no, I didn't. That wasn't.
I didn't bang Sally.
I don't care what kind of movie you got. You got it on film? Believe your eyes, you're going to believe me. Come on, girl. You know what it is.
It's like, wait a minute. That is not my dick. Looks like my dick, but it's not my dick.
That ain't mine. That ain't mine at all. But, but to your point, yeah. He came at her with that. She shouldn't have agreed to it. It seemed to me she was trying to paint the narrative that, oh, I thought you just wanted to have regular conversations. You just talk to me about stuff. I didn't realize you're trying to set me up. And it was just kind of, and that's not what she said. That to me was
dishonest of her. That was so dishonest of her to try to come out and say, like, oh, I didn't know you were going to challenge me on my position. I thought I was just to be able to criticize yours. And that's bullshit. The other thing that he did good was he called her out on moving the goalpost. Like I said, if you're saying that it's just a conspiracy, then you can't change your position. Like, well, I'm just asking questions. And then the other part I thought Andrew did really well was You haven't proved me wrong. Is it evidence that you're right? And that is critical, right? When the inability to disprove a theory doesn't establish the theory, right? You can't just say, well, explain this. You can't explain this. Doesn't automatically mean, well, I know what happened. And that's exactly what, she failed at doing. So like, this is where I thought Andrew didn't do great. Like, he wasn't perfect at, like, just because he beat her argument doesn't mean he proven every aspect of his own argument, right? Refuting that the evidence doesn't automatically prove the entire official narrative doesn't necessarily mean that, like, the alternative narrative cannot be is false, right? But I thought that he did a great job at systematically, like, breaking her down. Like, his best argument is, like, is skepticism. Like, her, like, she was trying to use, like, skepticism the whole time, but he's like, it doesn't connect the dots, right? It doesn't connect the dots. Like, again, something being unusual doesn't make, and saying something doesn't make sense doesn't automatically mean something, therefore something is bad.
So let me ask you this. Let's say that we get into the trial and somehow, some way, there's evidence, very compelling evidence that there was a second shooter.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I mean, you can't speak for Andrew, but at that point, what do you think Andrew how he responds to something like that?
I'll repeat that again.
So let's say at some point during the trial, or let's say that they kick in the investigation, because I'm just going to assume the investigation is ongoing. It normally is. But let's say that they established that there was a second shooter. Or let's say that they established that the whole thing with the restaurant and the receipt is true, right? Just hypothetically speaking. Somehow they proved that he wasn't there. What happens then?
Well, then it doesn't. It proves that they got the wrong man, but it doesn't mean that, like,
But doesn't that feed into the narrative that, okay, well, damn,
but
maybe there was.
But that doesn't prove that Israel's involved or all these other speculations that are true.
True.
One thing being found not true doesn't automatically mean that this other thing is true. You still have to connect the dots. We still have a burden of evidence to prove the connection, right?
And I'm not Team Candace, guys. I'm just sitting here. Again, I'm the outsider. I got no dog in this fight. I'm the outsider, just looking and listening and paying attention. That's all I'm doing. So, there's Team Candace out there. There's Team Andrew out there. What I will find striking is that I really thought, like, on PBD's platform, I sent you the screenshot. They were doing polls the whole time, and Andrew was winning in all those polls. And I thought that PBD's platform was like Team Candace, but I was really shocked to see that not necessarily. Like, they were really saying, like, Andrew's winning. And, as it went on, more and more people, and it was like a 60-40 split, you know what I mean? Like, low 60, high 40 split.
Like, I think I got Ghost, did you send me that screenshot? Let me double check.
I sent you a screenshot. I sent you one. I sent you two.
Yeah, you sent me one. I think Ghost sent me.
I sent you two. I sent you one of the poll, and then I sent you one of the people how many were polled.
Yeah, like, so based on PBD's podcast, right, Paul, Andrew won, I think it was like 55%. And then the one that's like one of the questions that surprised me as well as Ghost was the question was, I'm a Candace fan, but I think Andrew won. And that was at like 9%.
And I seen the opposite. I'm an Andrews fan, but I think Candace won. So I think it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird how this is working. And I wonder, what does that mean? Does that mean that she was able to get people thinking, planting some seeds that they weren't really thinking about, and then he was able to do the same, and they kind of got this, you know what I mean? Like, this bleed over from both their platforms? I wonder what that means.
Yeah, like, the turnaround. Yeah, the turnaround was interesting. Ojo has a question for you. He says, quick question for DLC. Do you think Candace provided any positive evidence of her claim?
No, I think all she did was provide speculation. And, I think all she did was she provided a lot of reasonable doubt, but no real evidence. But you can follow that up with what evidence could she present? You know what I mean? No one has anything outside of the system,
Yeah. So, like, my overall assessment of this debate was Andrew wins the debate. And the reason why, better burden of proof discipline, right? He pressed her on that. He was more focused on the argumentation of the debate overall. Stronger demand for specific evidence. Like, he's demanding her to prove her claim. She couldn't do that. Better distinction between what is suspicion and what is proof. Candace is all blurred. And then overall better logical structure control of the debate, right? I think Candace's strong point was like she had a strong skepticism. She was really good at effective questioning, and she made some legitimate challenges to the institutional authority, like the government itself. And she raises issues that deserves investigation, in my opinion, right? But her weaknesses outweighed her strengths, like too much reliance on unanswered questions, insufficient connection between individual nominees and the large conclusion of it. At times, her argument appeared to shift from I have questions and to therefore something larger happened. That right there is a huge leap. And she can't do that. She can't do that at all.
Highlight on Joe's statement right there in the chat. And he's right. It should have been game over, but it goes back to the way Andrew moves. And just like old Joe is saying, like, man, I have issues with Andrew's strategy. And I do too. I think Andrew, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. He made me a believer because I really thought it wouldn't have been close. I thought it was going to be a complete blowout. He was able to pull it off. But like he said, right, the aspect of this that we haven't really talked about much is likability. And he says himself, he's like, he's not very likable and he does things that, whatever. But his whole thing is, proof is the proof, the facts are the facts, whether you like me or not. And in a perfect world, it makes a lot of sense. But I'm not a fan of Nick Fuentes. Can't stand that little motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
And when he's right about something, I'm like, fuck. You know what I mean? I would be quiet until you question. You got to corner me on it. And then I was like, yeah, he's right. But I'm not going to just volunteer that shit like, oh, look, Nick Fuentes says something right. Like, man, fuck that dude. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of people kind of looking at Andrew, maybe not to that extent, but they're like, man, I really don't like this guy. So I'm just going to let this shit ride until someone corners me. But then when they get a chance to vote, they did answer it with their vote because it seems to be a lot of people voting for Andrew on this.
Yeah, I think here's a key distinction that we're trying to make here in this episode tonight is that Candace made people question the story, the narrative, but Andrew did a better job at challenging whether her questions actually prove her case. Because she had questions, those are fine, but her questions does not lead to the conclusion of it's a conspiracy theory, that other foreign nations were involved, or that she couldn't prove that he was a patsy at all. I want to play their closing arguments real quick, just to kind of point out what I'm talking about. I'll start with Andrew's closing argument, and let's just listen to this real quick.
Great, let's do this. And so before we wrap up, final thoughts, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, she had nothing, just nothing. For all of her claims of patsy, nothing. She didn't have a single claim. She didn't have a single solid piece of evidence. She had no positive evidence Israel's involved in anything. No positive evidence that France is involved in anything. No positive evidence TPUSA is involved in anything. No positive evidence that Erica Kirk is involved in anything. When I asked her about her claims about Erica Kirk, yeah, it was just funning. It's just funning, Or, yeah, I do think that she needs to sit down and ask some questions, or answer some questions. But you know what? I don't even know if she has. Like, maybe she has. I have no idea. Yes, I'm going to have an official timeline with unconfirmed evidence. That's just fine. hey, it's hearsay. If that's good enough for the state, it's good enough for me. But my biggest problem with the state is that they're admitting all this hearsay. It's like she's a contradiction machine. On top of all of this, the thing that I wanted to get out of this more than anything else was to just demonstrate one thing. Yes, it's true. I'm not perfect on the case. I'm not going to ever pretend that I am, and never did. But what has been made very clear to me is that there's nobody with an alternative theory that has any evidence for it at all. None. Zero. And the continuous kind of expression, we're running an investigation. What kind of investigation builds a timeline out on a receipt that they don't even confirm? What kind of investigation tries to make these bold claims that Israel's involved and France is involved and all these different players are involved and never shows any evidence? We're just asking questions. It's again, like I said in my opening, it's always intuition, my feelings, how I feel about things, how I think about things. Andrew, how many times do you hear this today? Andrew, you can't tell me how I'm supposed to think. Yeah, nobody's trying to tell you how to think. But you should rationally come to your conclusions based on evidence and facts. And the truth is that 90% of what you're saying is simply intuition based. It came to me in a dream. It's intuition. Almost none of it has any evidence at all. Just I'm skeptical because these people over here said things, and that makes me skeptical. It's like, but no evidence. Note this to the audience, to everybody watching. You might hate my guts. That's fair enough. I get that. I'm not the most likable man. I understand that too. But there was nothing. I mean, no evidence at all that Tyler Robinson was a patsy that was ever put forward by Candace this entire debate. Now, maybe you could say that we stalemated when it came to whether or not Robinson did it. She says, I found the evidence convincing. Unconvincing. Andrew says he found the evidence convincing. Okay, fair enough. Maybe you can't do too much about that, but there was nothing. She had nothing for Robinson being a patsy, nothing for any of her conspiracies, not a zero, zilch, and she backed away on a bunch of them. This is the first time I think she's ever really backed away from the Twigs thing. First time I've heard her back away from the Erica thing, back away from TPUSA, being very cautious about making any of those claims now, whereas on her show, much more likely to be making those claims. So she just had nothing the entire debate. Zero.
Candace.
You gonna pause it?
All
Or
right,
we gonna listen to hers?
Yeah. All right, let me just go off of that first. We're gonna listen to hers for a minute, or we'll go back into hers. What do you think about his closing statement?
I mean, I think that's where he's really strong. He shines in that opening and closing statements. You know, he's really good with that. That's why this is a variant of a debate. It's not a real debate, but I think that Andrew figured out a long time ago that if I have a really good, compelling opening and closing statement, I can just book in the rest, which is going to be just fucking chaos. It's going to look good. And I think that he made some good points. He said that that it was a stalemate. Again, on some parts, he conceded that. And then, but he was able to, his whole thing was like, well, you have no evidence. Can't dispute it. Like no one does. There's no real evidence. So yeah, I think he did really well. And it's one of those things. Remember, we were talking about it. You're like, who won? And I said, well, I gotta say Andrew did it. But if it's win, lose, or draw, if I can choose draw, I would have chosen that. I'm like, I think it's a draw. I think they walk away basically a tie, maybe a rematch kind of thing or whatever. But maybe needed. But no, I have to agree with everyone right now. I think that especially with that closing statement, I think Andrew was really able to go ahead and solidify his win.
Yeah. I thought, and I'm going to play his opening statement here in a minute too, after we play the closing statement. But I thought the key point was that she could not prove that Tyler Robinson was a patsy. And that was the claim that she has made countless times on her podcast. And she could not prove that claim. Now, you can have that statement, but it means absolutely nothing if there's no evidence that logically connects to that statement. And she did not provide any logical evidence that would conclude there's a patsy involved. And I thought that's where he hit hard the most, was pointing out like that she just because she feels something doesn't mean it's real. And we always say this. You and I have said this before. Feels before reals. That's the culture that we live in right now. The era that we live in is I feel this way, therefore it's more real than what is real. You know,
I think I hear you there, bro. I believe that there's more to this thing than meets the eye. Again, as a guy just outside looking in, I man, the state has from what I know right now, they got a weak fucking case. And I would just, man, the guy made that shot. I mean, we agree is lucky, but just to get in the position and all that. So I think there may be some more out there, but you're right. I got no proof, not a shred of proof, and neither did Candace. She has no proof. If she did, she would have it on the TV screen.
But this is what I want to point out. Like, and I have to give Rollo Tomasi, kudos for this. He said this years ago. We live in the era of feels before reals. Right? That's how I feel about things is more real than the evidence that I have in front of me. And how Candace feels, and this is the real feminine way of thinking, how I feel about something is more real than what I could actually prove with the evidence and proof in front of me. And it just kind of hit me, kind of speaks volumes to this whole social media era right now when it comes to surrounding this case. There was a time that we would just go based off of what we can prove, right? This is what the evidence proves. Until the evidence changes, we're going off of what we can prove. Now we're in the era of what I feel is more important than what can be proven, and that is dangerous. So I gotta give Rollo credit where credit's due. He's mentioned that like 5 years ago.
That's a big mantra over in the Mano Swamp. Feels before reals, and I'm not. I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing it.
But I'm looking at that principle. Apply that principle to everything.
But real quick, if you and I we had our two teams with us, and we walk up on a situation, and we say, "Oh shit, there's a building. Wasn't on any of our recon maps. What's going on?" You know what I mean? Let's just walk right past the building. Nah, man, I feel bad about this one. I got a bad feeling about this one, fam. Send a team down there and let's recon this shit, right? That's where I am with it. I got a bad feeling about this kid on the roof making this shot, getting away with all this bullshit. Let's do some recon, right?
That's
so
fine.
Feeling before reals is bad, but having a feeling based on your experience and looking at something that isn't quite right and wanting to go down there and discover and determine what's going on, put some eyes on it. I think there's something there. Now, again, I'm not disputing
that, but if you go, I feel something is wrong, I want further information, that's one thing. When you say I feel something is wrong, therefore it's a conspiracy theory, that's a whole fucking different thing. That's a fucking huge leap. And that's what Candace was doing the entire time.
And that's why a lot of people were saying that, she lost this thing on that. But again, I think she scored a lot of style points, and I think her people are holding on to that. Yeah.
If this was a popularity contest, if this was a who's more likable and who did a better presentation likable, sure, you could give her that if you want. But on the substance of the debate, on what can be proven, and for their arguments, she lost horribly. But let's hear her.
And before we hear that too, before we hear her, because I do want to hear her part. Again, that TPUSA pivot after Charlie was gone, man, that right there, bro. That's one of those. I want to send some recon. I want some recon on that. Get some people in there. Let's find out why the hell did they pivot like that. But let's go ahead and go to her.
But see, like the pivot has nothing to do with the assassination. We cannot connect that unless there's evidence to say, somebody on the furry server, right, was some Israeli Mossad agent, and we got that information that some Israeli Mossad agent was masquerading as a furry, and he was in chats with Tyler Robinson. Then you can make that connection. Then I'll be like, you know what? You got legs with that, but you don't when you don't.
That's what you need the recon for, right? That's what you need the recon for.
Why hasn't the recon provided that evidence yet?
Because no one sent the team out.
How do we know that?
I'm saying possibly. I'm devil's advocate over here. I ain't got to fight in this thing.
I know. I'm just saying, we don't know that. We don't know they could have sent a team out. They could have been like, you know what? There is no Israeli furry masquerading going on.
And that brings up another point too. Like, well, if they did that shit, here's the report. Yeah, we looked into it. Here's the report. We looked into the French Fort, like Legionnaires being on station. Here's the report. You know what I mean? Shit like that.
Like, here's the other funny thing about this whole thing that cracks me up is, why isn't the defense using any of Candace Owens' alleged evidence to defend him?
The defense is doing her own thing. That's why. I mean, why would you?
Well, I mean, if Candace Owens is right, why isn't the defense team using any of her evidence to defend their client?
Oh, hopefully, the defense team is sending out those recon people, like I said, and getting some eyes on. But let's hear her closing statements.
All right.
Well, I think that is quite a conclusion. Admitting somewhere, maybe we stalemated. It probably signifies what I've been saying from the beginning, that you didn't feel that you were strong on the actual facts and the evidence, which I was willing to engage with you. I wanted to go over the screwdriver. I wanted to go over the towel, the things that you've mentioned, and you wanted to then move the conversation into a defense of Erica Kirk and her character, and what I've said about Erica, which is my opinion. And I have not edited that opinion after discussing with you. I would like to extend a compliment to you for being willing to sit down and to have the conversation. I still walk away feeling that the people who are jumping on the bandwagon about this case don't care about this case. They don't care about Erica Kirk. It tends to be follow that they take a meeting with Turning Point USA and they come out and suddenly have a lot of junk to say about Candace Owens. And I do want to also stress that Turning Point USA tried to pepper him with something as a surprise. He showed clips that were meant to be a surprise. I did no such thing. I stressed to PBD from the beginning that I was.
Can I just pause it right there? You and I said
no, you got it all the way through. You got to let it go all the way through.
Okay.
Take a note.
He was taking this on, and that I wanted this to be a clean debate because I believe I can win this on the merits, and I believe that I did win this fully on the merits by engaging the evidence of what has happened. I do still believe that there is more evidence which supports that there are more people involved and that Tyler Robinson has been set up, and that none of the evidence that was presented was in any way overwhelming, which is why I think you wanted to move to end that discussion quickly and to speak to me about France and to talk about this Panguitch receipt and my timeline. I want to remind people that a lot of the at-home investigators, which you were open to, as you called them, internet sleuths. I think it was on a show that you did right after Charlie was assassinated, that internet sleuths would solve this. This is the reason why Charlie, a year on, is still a conversation every single day trending on Twitter. I knew Charlie. I cared about Charlie. I care about finding out what the truth is here. My heart is in the right place. I think anybody who watches my show or even just watched this debate knows that if I get something wrong, I'll instantly correct it and own it. I'm not arrogant. I don't need to sit here and pretend that I didn't misspeak on the Lance thing. It hasn't been ruled out. But you saw that he just really wanted to hammer that point. You know, part of being a well-meaning person is to concede when you are wrong, to take something off a timeline when you know it's not right. And I would like to think that that is why I have earned the audience that continues to follow me, because they know my heart's in the right place, that I deeply cared about Charlie and I deeply care about the answers. I want to thank Andrew's team who are providing the fact checks. It's a very small room that they're in. I want to, as always, thank my team who worked really hard to make this happen and flip this set. And to you, PBD, just for being a great moderator. I think very fair, letting us both speak and making sure that Andrew got out of this what he wanted, which is a little more than what I wanted. But I'm very content with how I dealt with this. And I trust, I don't need to convince the audiences with the magic trick of what they need to think about this debate. They can watch it and draw their own conclusions.
Beautiful. Fair from both of you. I think the audience won. And again, from the beginning.
All right. So she's like, oh, he brought clips involved. She brought clips. She brought clips too. Right? And she tried to use
that's what you wanted to pause it for? That's what you wanted to pause it for?
Yeah, okay. Because she's like, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't gonna do this, like come on. She did the same fucking thing. I don't want to hear that. That was bullshit. Like, that's her trying to poison the well at the end of the debate. If you ask me, that was very dishonest.
Old Joe said that in the chat. It's in there. It's like she's poisoning the well.
Yeah,
Just
to
saying.
me that was very dishonest, and that is, to me, that is not like saying that you have a legitimate like case. The moment that you try to say like, oh well, he's poisoning the well by doing the same fucking thing that I'm doing, that's wrong, right? But
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, dude, this is why this wasn't in a. Myron Gaines said this, and I didn't watch a lot of Myron stuff. I was going through, like the guys, like Valhalla and those type dudes. It wasn't Valhalla, but it was one of the guys that was on.
No,
that stream
Valhalla
together.
was involved in it. So was
No.
Big Heavy Duty Country.
Well, yeah. Okay, so those guys, one of the guys had this thing going live. They were watching the thing live and they were reacting live. It wasn't Valhalla and it wasn't Big Country, but it was a couple of the guys who were on that stream that we're talking about. And they were saying, okay, yeah, Candace won, but it didn't seem to be very enthusiastic about it. So I was watching just different reactions. I was just kind of just jumping around, seeing who was saying what. So I jumped on Myron's page, Myron Gaines X, and even Myron said, he was like, man, the format was jacked. They should have had time. You know what I mean? They should have been held, to the time. They should not have been allowed to talk about anything off topic. And I think he made a good point there. This thing kind of devolved into whatever it is, not a real debate. So yeah, bro, bro, and like, who knows what might happen down the road? There may be some evidence that gets overturned, or once the trial starts, there'll be discovery. Hopefully the judge won't put a gag order out there, probably will, because it's so crazy. But let me ask you this, man.
Well, let me
go ahead.
Let me actually play, because I said I wanted to play the opening statements real quick, and then we can get into this.
I'll be right back. You're gonna see my seat empty for a second when you start playing.
All right. Well, you have to listen to it.
I can hear it.
Okay. This to me is like this was like this Charlie Kirk text message that Andrew reads is by far the most damaging against Candace Owens' whole fucking conspiracy theory. All right. Here we go.
And what I mean by overwhelming is I just find it very convincing. I think that's what most people mean when they say overwhelming evidence. So I have a brief opening statement. On September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk was murdered. Many of you already know a lot about the events which occurred after Kirk's death. You remember the ghoulish laughter, celebrations, and madness we saw from leftists all over, from TikTok invasions, debates, posts on social media, destruction of memorials, and things like this. Within weeks of Kirk's death, a cottage industry began to form, peddling various alternative theories on how he died. What special interest may have killed him, what nations were involved, and was our own government one of them? Because this was the first nationwide traumatic event in Gen Z's lifetime, the demand for answers was severe and palpable. The leading theory from the conspiracy verse is that Israel worked with the United States government to murder Charlie Kirk. Within a day or two of Kirk's death, Ian Carroll claimed that Israel killed Charlie Kirk, and the conspiracy caught on like wildfire. This theory was built on one misleading piece of evidence, that in his final days, on or around September 8th, Charlie sent a text message reading, "Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause." This was sent in the context of a platforming dispute regarding Tucker Carlson. From this scintilla of misleading information, it was speculated that Israel killed Charlie Kirk because he would have successfully opposed the Iranian war. Now, that's a fun theory, and who doesn't like a good, fun conspiracy theory? I like them. But there is no evidence that Israel actually killed Charlie Kirk. And if Candace has some, I'd like her to actually show it to me. I'm open to suggestions, but to date, there hasn't been any. There is, however, tons of evidence that a leftist killed Charlie Kirk, just as Charlie feared they would. I believe Charlie Kirk, and I have the receipts. No, I didn't have a dream where he came to me and told me that the left killed him. No, he didn't come to me a dream and say, Candace Owens betrayed him. That never happened. In fact, I don't need dreams of any kind because I hold in my possession never before seen messages from Charlie Kirk to his security team on September 9th, 2025. I'm going to share the message with you today, which is the first time this information's ever been publicly revealed. On September 9th, Charlie's security team wrote to him, yes, law enforcement has been fully supportive and agreed to a security plan and posture. Tomorrow's event will be covered by both my team and the campus PD. If additional support is required, patrol units will be available. I have 11 on site. Charlie responded with this. Okay, great. Remind them that they are there for one person's security only, because I'm somewhat worried the left is trying to kill me. That was a message sent September 9th. Whatever could he have meant by that? Well, I think he meant exactly what he said, that he was worried the left was going to try to kill him. Now, we'll discuss this more later on in the debate, and maybe I have more never-before-seen evidence that exposes just how wrong and, in my opinion, idiotic many of these conspiracy theories have been.
So that text message right there, to me, was very damaging. Charlie Kirk's own words. I think the left is trying to kill me. I think. Are you putting your Matrix glasses on too?
Because the chat was roasting you a little bit about the glasses. And I'm like, I got to show solidarity to my Air Force brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and put mine on too, because I don't only wear sunglasses when I drive. But for you, I'm making this up.
I think that message from Charlie Kirk himself, saying that he's afraid that the left is trying to kill him. What did we find out? Tyler Robinson, furry lover, that's leftist. I don't know any furry lover scented candles, Briar Wolf. You're an ass for that. I'm not gonna lie.
I'll give you that. I'll give the furries. I'll say the furries are the liberals, because the conservatives like to go in the bathrooms. They're glory hole dudes. You know what I mean? They're glory hole dudes. So I give you that.
But I'm not gonna like shout out to Briar Wolf. I'm not gonna lie, I do like a good scented candle in my house. Okay, like don't act like that. It doesn't bring a good feng shui to the room when you smell it good, like it smells good. Don't be acting like y'all don't do that.
Don't put me in that shit. Cody is king. I see you, brother. My brother Cody is king's in the chat, man. Yo, bro. I think that Andrew, like a lot of people, like Ojo was saying this, a bunch of people were saying this. Saint the Sinner said this. Andrew should not have started by reading his opening statement. That was a bad look. Again, optics, right? That was a bad look. That was a bad look, bro. Memorize that one, bro. Memorize the opening statement and then say, hey, I'm going to read this, text or this information I have. But the first part would have been like committed to memory. I think it was a bad look, but yeah.
I think that Charlie's own words is damaging to the Patsy narrative. Right?
I still think I hear you, but there might be something there to that Patsy thing, man. It might be. There's no evidence now that we are aware of, but we don't know what's coming down the road. Again, if I'm allowed to put my tinfoil hat on for a second, this thing could turn into a situation where it looks like he has absolutely been set up to be a patsy or something along those lines. I mean, I wouldn't even give the other guy, the furry dude, why give him immunity? Did he get complete immunity or just immunity for those statements?
He got partial immunity, basically saying that whatever information that he provides, will not be used to incriminate him. Now, if evidence from what he provides leads to other evidence that he's involved somehow, that's where it's only partial. They could try him if the statements that he gives leads to incriminating him in other areas. Then that's how they could get him. So, and if he lies about the information that he gives, and they can prove that he lied, then the immunity's gone.
Yeah, it could be smelling Navy mess. You're right about that, bro. Wolf. I'm glad it's not that. So, I think Ghost said this. It was a very mixed bag when it came to who won or lost on PBD's platform. I mean, I was really shocked at that. But all the other places, Team Candace people were kind of like, and it kind of boiled down to we don't like Andrew. It devolved into he called all women, like slow, called them the R word. He said this and that. It is what it is. But But again, that's why I think we come out with a draw. I think if Andrew had came in there, cleaned up the appearance, you know what I mean, kind of, put on his battle gear, went in there, memorized opening and because he memorized his closing statements or whatever. Like it just did that off the top. I think he would have maybe scored some more points. Yeah, Candace was definitely poisoning the well there towards the end. I think she started off confident, and then towards the end, I think she realized too, like, oh shit, I don't have any evidence. I am just saying this shit. It is what it is. But let me ask you this, bro. Let me ask you this, and then maybe we can start bringing some dudes up, or ladies too, if you guys want to come up. Who gets the most out of this? Is there a clear winner, like someone like Candace or Andrew? Because of this, they're gonna get something, either more subscribers or more of something else. What do you think?
Well, let me go back a little bit before I answer this question. I think people need to remove their own biases and emotions out of it and look at this debate as what was presented, who had the stronger argument, and who had the stronger facts on their side, who made a better case, right? You don't have to like Andrew to be objective and be like, objectively, he won this debate because he put the screws to her and she could not defend her position, right? And again, Charlie Kirk's own message says that I'm afraid the left is going to kill me. Not Israel, not France, not some CIA operative. The left is going to kill me, right? She couldn't defend that. She couldn't even argue against that. So when people need to look at this debate, look at the substance, not the subjects. And the substance of the debate, when it comes to, and this is where people are different. Like this is where people are emotionally, they have an emotional investment in this. Like you're mentioning, they don't like Andrew. All right. So people that don't like Andrew because Andrew said that women are the R word at times or slow or whatever. They're gonna come at this as I don't like him, therefore anything that he says I disagree with. Yes. And that's an emotional position, and that's not based on facts. That's based on feelings. Again, this whole argument debate is if I think the people that are Team Candace are really making their decision on if Candace won is based on I don't like Andrew, I like Candace, therefore all this is based on feelings, not based on what was presented. Now to answer your question, who do I think won?
No, who gets what out of it?
I think TPOSA got the best out of this.
How so?
Because he forced her to basically kind of walk back her accusations and claims against Candace or against Erica Kurt and TPOSA being involved. Because she has made clear statements that she believed that they were involved. Right? And she had to kind of walk that back. And I think TPOSA is the clear winner here. Because what they were trying to do, in my opinion, is they're trying to merge the Charlie Kirk assassination with the changing of the direction that TPOSA was going down. And they're trying to say, oh, they're the same thing. They're the same thing. And I think that Andrew did a really good at making the distinction that those are two different issues, right? And I think that helped. I think TPOSA won the best out of all of this. Personally, because I think Andrew gave TPOSA enough breathing room to say, hey, we're not involved in Charlie Kirk's death. And again, this is what kills me is like, where do we come from? Like, there's no evidence to accuse the widow, but for some reason we're going to be making streams and attacking the widow like we did. That to me is disgusting. Now, I get it. During an investigation, during a murder investigation, the people closest to them tend to be the first suspects. They have to rule them out first, right? Spouses and stuff like that. But there was no connection. No connection.
Yeah, man. Cody's King has a comment in the chat. It's like, we're supposed to believe that dude shoved a rifle down his pants, but there's almost no DNA on the supposed rifle. I mean, there's, like I said, There's gonna be questions out there. And he's right. You know, like the whole thing. I mean, it reeks of other things, but I think overall, yeah, I think that Andrew won a debate on his substance, you know what I mean, on the facts. And I think that Candace won just like on the optics and coming in as the heavyweight, you know, coming in as the de facto champion. You know, Andrew failed to kind of, you know, get a clean knockout. You know what I mean? I think she won by decision, which means, and I think that her people, when the cameras are off and no one's listening, I think her people are talking to each other and texting back and forth to each other like, damn, she fucked that up. Damn, she could have done better. I think that's what's going on. But of course, they're gonna have a unified front. You know, when the camera's on, when you're talking to folks. So yeah, and I think that's a. I think you're right. I think TP USA did win. I think they're gonna be able to go back and, you know, shit. They even had Pierce Morgan in some of these chats, bro. Pierce Morgan was saying that Candace like whooped his ass and this and that. Again, Pierce Morgan doesn't like a lot of the stuff that Andrew talks about. So yeah. So
well, you know what? All right, chat. We're gonna drop the link but somebody better
one at a time. We're gonna do it one at a time, guys, and then like, you know, say what you gotta say, and then we're gonna go to the next one. And appreciate you. We appreciate y'all.
Mr. Glasses is as thick as Andrew pretends to be. Thick, like I mean, I'm pretty thick. Like, you know, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I don't need to pretend to be thick. I am thick. I'm a big boy. You know, 6 foot, 245 pounds. Yeah, I'm pretty thick, dude. Let's go ahead and drop the link. Yeah, Cody. Thick.
Yeah, bro. I'm down to 190. Well, I should say up to 190. When I went away on my little vacation, bro, I dropped 25 pounds in 65 days. So I'm starting to gain that back. Thank goodness.
Thank God. You look like a cancer patient.
Hey man, here's what it is, bro. That's what happens when you get old. But you know, I got a thing with my arm. I got to get.
You're not even that old. You're not even that old.
I got a lot of miles on this frame.
You're old, but you ain't that old.
I got a lot of miles on this frame. But as soon as I get my arm squared away, my shoulder is jacked, and I'm giving the VA an opportunity to fix it because they deny my claim. All those jumps, and they declined. No, your shoulder is fine. Like, no, it's not. Shoulder, back, and hips. But I'm gonna give them a shot to get me together. And once I get this together, I can get back to it. I can't do any pull-ups.
You know what, Cody? You're right. When I get back to Orlando, like Tampa's not that far, so I would start dragging DL to the gym with me and putting that work on.
You ain't gotta drag me, man. I'm doing push-ups, I'm doing sit-ups, and I'm doing pull-ups. I can't do any of that. If I do 10 pull-ups, if I do 10 push-ups right now, I just gotta drag my arm along. Like something messed up in here. I can hear it. Ghost is dropping super chats. Appreciate you, Ghost. Thanks for the
shout out, Ghost. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna drop the link. I think it goes in all chats. Let me double check. I want to make sure.
I think it does. If it doesn't,
here I'll send you. I'll put the link in the back chat so you can drop it in your chat.
All right. Y'all better leave me alone. I'm injured. I don't know why y'all giving me a hard time. I'm injured, but I can still run.
Run? You know why I stopped running? The Bible told me to. Bible says only a foolish man runs when no one's chasing him. So I just said I'm bigger than anything that could chase me. So I ain't running. I ain't gonna be no fool.
Man, it keeps me breathing. Like I said, man, I got a lot of miles on this frame. But anyway, y'all gonna get off my damn back. Wait till I get my shoulder fixed. Just wait.
I pinned the link in the chat. Like DL says, we're gonna do this one at a time. And if you guys have questions, if you guys don't like our opinions, you're more than welcome to come criticize us, challenge our positions on why we think Andrew won overall. And again, DL said that himself. He believes that Andrew won the debate technically by the argumentation. Now, he did say that he thought that Candace won optics-wise, but I I could see that. I don't necessarily agree with it. I can see where he's coming from with that. But you guys tell us why you guys think the person that you believe won, and let's hear it. And if you want to question, challenge our position, feel free to ask us, and we'll answer those questions.
Yeah,
so
let's stay on message too. Let's not get off the topic too much. A lot of times people jump up like, "Hey man, you see what's going on in Japan?" Like, dude, they did not debate in Japan. So
I'm like, what does that have to do with the tea in China?
Right. So when you come up, tell us who you think won, and then go from there.
Yeah. So the link is pinned. Shout out to the 156 people viewing the stream from X all the way to YouTube. Shout out to you guys. Thank you. We appreciate you for tuning in and hearing our opinions. So you don't have 100% proof of your theory, then you should 100% just listen to what the government tells you. Nobody's saying that.
Right. That pickle
I don't think Candace won on substance at all.
Oh.
Again, if you believe that, come prove your point. You want me to tell you who I think lost this debate?
Who's that?
I'm going to say this in a weird way, and this is, to me, I believe this debate needed to happen, but this is what bothers me about the debate. People are capitalizing off the pain of a family, a widow, the children. People are capitalizing off the pain of them. So I think the family lost. But okay, we got Dylan in the back. Let's bring him up and see what he has to say. What's going on, Dylan?
What's happening, brother? Dylan, we can't hear you. Check your audio, fam.
Dylan going once. Dylan going twice. Dylan is removed.
Check your audio, brother. If you get your audio together, come back and holler at us.
I'll leave you in the back chat. Type in the private chat once you get your audio worked on. I like, people are saying in the chat, like, Candace won. I'm like, how does she win? Again, Charlie's own statement was that he was afraid that the left was going to kill him. And it comes out that the left actually killed him.
But if allegedly, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It's strong evidence. It's strong evidence to that point. I will give you that. But we'll see how this thing plays out. Again, when you put on your tinfoil hat, it's like, is there a world in which he sent another text to someone saying, I think that maybe others may be, after me, that got deleted? Like, who had control of his phone? We don't know. And again, that's just, if you want to put on your tinfoil hat, that's the thing about these conspiracies, bro.
Richard said he didn't even show the text, though. But did Candace refute the text either?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think we see this a lot in the mental swamp. Like when you talk about, modern dating dynamics and what's going on, like, all that kind of stuff, right? Or you could watch Andrew Wilson on whatever podcast. You can watch Myron Gaines on Fresh and Fit when they're doing the after hours. A lot of young girls, a lot of women will say, it doesn't feel right, therefore I don't like it, or whatever. Like the feels before reels that Rolo was talking about. But again,
we got Aaron right in the back. Let's bring him up.
Okay.
What's going on, Aaron?
What's good, fam?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Doing well. How you doing?
Good. Did y'all enjoy the show?
It had its
moments. Long.
It was long.
It was very long, man.
Who won, brother? Who won?
Depends on what you mean by one, right? I think that I was expecting for Andrew Wilson to completely outclass her. The reason I say that is because he's a professional debater. He's debated pretty much everyone on the left. He's debated people on the right. He's debated.
I was just at DebateCon with him. In
Yeah.
Dallas.
So
Dinesh D'Souza. It was a really good debate.
Yeah, and I've seen him make people who are very good at debating look foolish with his Socratic sort of questioning. So he's really good at the Socratic method. He didn't really get to do a lot of that in this conversation. But I was
and I think it's because she was avoiding it. You know, she did not want to no, you're not going to interrogate me. No, you're not going to. I'm not going to answer the questions.
yeah, a lot of that. So I think there's a few things. I think that Andrew's tactics aren't really suited for non-blood sport debating. So Andrew's a really, really good blood sport debater. So that means that if he's able to have his way and kind of be in control of the conversation, have a little more mobility, I think he would have done better. But because I think number one, she disarmed him of a lot of his good tactics, which is like the interrogation sort of style that he has. He wasn't really able to do that. And what I also saw, which was quite interesting, is that in the debate, Andrew's really good at intimidating his opponents. Like he can do that I've seen him in most of the people he debates, he intimidates. And I think that this was the first time where it was opposite. Maybe I'm wrong here. I feel like he was a little intimidated with the moment. It was a huge moment, probably the biggest moment of his online career. Definitely the biggest moment of his online career. The first time where he's being viewed by so many people. And I think it was more pressure on him than it was on her. Because for him, he's got to take down Candace Owens. And
the question is, does he have to take down Candace Owens, or does he have to do? Because I get the imagery that you're trying to paint here, but I'm wanting to get to the substance of the debate. Right.
But before we do, Glenn, remember what I said about optics.
I understand that.
I agree with bro in the sense that Andrew was on his heels. I can say at least for the first two rounds, if it went 3 or 4, before the first two breaks, it seemed to me that Andrew was on his heels. He couldn't do what he normally does. And like I said before, Candace is looked upon as the champ. If you're gonna take the championship, you gotta knock them out. You can't win by decision, and that's my take on it, bro. Am I wrong?
I think
real quick. Let me just tell a stupid old man in the back. We will bring you up once we have this caller done. All right, thank you. He's not saying anything. I just wanted to reiterate that point that you had, mentioned earlier. But go ahead, Aaron.
I mean, to your point on the substance, right? Which I think is quite hard to have a debate on the substance because it kind of depends on, well, who do you think made the better, more convincing argument? Well, I believe that Tyler Robinson is clearly the shooter. I think the evidence so far is convincing. Now, that makes me a little biased in regards to when Candace is speaking, I think it's total bullshit. Like, I think it's nonsense. I don't think she's saying anything that makes me feel like, oh man, like that's so when you say who won, I'm going based on, well, who did a better job in the debate, not on my personal opinion. And I think that it's pretty clear that she had her way with him, especially when she started using his own arguments against him. And I think that the reason that worked for her is because she clearly knows more about the case and about what's happening than he did. And Andrew's really, really good at being prepared. And I think that I'm not sure why he came to this conversation not really prepared. I was thinking maybe he thinks that, well, actually, I do know it's for a fact. I think that he thinks Candace is not a good debater. Actually, I know that for a fact because he said it on his stream about a year ago when he was doing like a ranking of all of the right-wing commentators and how good of a debater they are. And he ranked Candace like extremely low. Like he put people like Myron Gaines over Candace Owens, which I thought was quite interesting. Yeah, because Candace traveled. Yeah, she traveled the country debating for a very long time with Charlie Kirk.
She was with Charlie, right? Yeah, she was with Charlie. Yeah. And Aaron, I just want to say something real quick. Rachel, yes, you can get up here and not cam up, but in the back chat, you need to show us that you're a real person first. Only Glenn can see you. So when you're in the back chat, show Glenn that you're a real person, and then you can turn your camera off when we bring you up. Okay, back to you, Aaron.
So I think overall, the optics from optics, it didn't look good for him. She caught him in some moments where he was clearly uncomfortable, especially towards the end when she asked him a question about, hey, who do you name me some of the charges that he has? And Andrew, instead of just admitting, because he's a blood sport debater, and in blood sport debate, you can't show any vulnerability. So she's like, hey, name me one of the charges. And he's like, murder. She's like, no, it's incorrect. So then he's like, well, you name a charge. And I think that was probably the best moment of the debate for her, because she essentially she pointed out his tactic, which is like, hey, you're trying to rush me, and it's not going to work. I'm going to answer when I want to answer. And that was a good moment, because that's Andrew. I debated Andrew, by the way. He's really good at that. Like, I remember I was debating him and my wife was laughing at me because he's really good at getting you on your toes by saying, wait, what's the answer? What's the answer? What's the answer? So the fact that she remained calm and pointed that out and then gave him all 7 of the charges and made him basically say, hey, somebody text you down on the phone. And she's like, here's my phone, check it. And then he has to basically like, oh, okay, well, maybe you're right. I thought that was extremely humiliating.
Yeah, but like not knowing the charge doesn't necessarily mean that her conspiracy theories is right.
No, but it goes to the credibility and the optics, Glenn. It goes to the optics.
Yeah, but again, it doesn't go to the substance, though. Like, I get the optics argument, and you can say optically Candace did a better performance, but substantially, who did a better performance?
Okay, so to answer that question, I would say that neither one of them presented an argument for overwhelming, because both of their claims were about the overwhelming evidence. Neither
you don't think that Charlie Kirk's own text message saying that I'm afraid that the left is going to kill me is overwhelming evidence that somebody from the left actually ended up killing him?
I think that's a good point that he made there. And by the way, that text message, which I think the great rebuttal that Candace had to that was like, 1, show us that text message. 2, why is that text message just now being revealed? If this is the text message that can end the conversation, or it could definitely contribute to the other side, right? Who's saying that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk? Why not release? I thought that was a good rebuttal from her.
Let me. I'll bring you back up. Let me go and bring down. I know old man is coming up here for a second. He has a few minutes. I'm gonna drop you down and bring you back up. Okay,
Aaron, don't go anywhere, Aaron. Don't go anywhere.
What up, stupid old man?
Stupid is accurate. And hey, can I remind you, Mr. Lawrence, that the wicked flee when none pursueth? You remember that?
I do remember that.
I'll be quick here. You know, there's an analogy in sports that says you go with who brung you. Oftentimes, sports teams will make the mistake when they get to the big game, to the finals, of trying to switch up their strategy. There's absolutely no doubt that Andrew won on a substantive. I have been in the X accounts of even Candace's supporters, and I ask over and over and over again, even after the debate, what evidence did she present? And nobody comes back with anything. So this is clear. I don't think that this is what Andrew needed to accomplish today, was that simple substantive victory. I think that he needed to play to the feelings crowd, like DL said. He needed to make this impression. I think it was a big mistake to read off of his phone at the beginning. I think he should have memorized that. I think, the Patreon pitch that he did. Now, there was a powerful emotional pitch. He should have spoke just like that in his opening statement. He should have looked into the camera and said, I want all of you ladies, and Candace's audience is a largely female audience, to imagine what it feels like to be accused of the things that Candace is accusing Erica Kirk of, if that were to happen to your own husband. I want you to think about that while we're going at try and place your mind in that other woman's mind and see how she must feel at this point. The other thing I'll say is, Andrew is a blood sport debater. That's what he excels at. He should have done that here. He tried to be too polite. When Candace said, it makes me angry when you ask for evidence, he should have driven in until PBD stopped him. Right there. He should have not shut his mouth for a second. Once he saw that, he had an opening and he should have taken it. So in my opinion, I appreciate Andrew putting out 300K to debate Candace. I mean, hey, he is going after a narrative that he explained very well. And that is this true crime community that tends to believe things based on no evidence. I appreciate that. Sitting in my chair as an armchair quarterback, I wish he would have been more aggressive. Hey, great show, you guys. I got to jump off. Thanks a lot, eh?
All right, thank
Good
you,
to see you,
Mr.
bro. Always
Old
good pleasure.
Man.
Always a pleasure to
It's
see you.
always good to see you, old Joe.
Quit changing your
all right.
name, man. I don't be knowing who you are half the time. God damn it. Stick to the names I know. I'm old. I can't keep up.
Oh, actually, let me ask you this before I let you go. When it comes to
he dropped.
Oh, he did drop. Never mind. All right,
Bring Aaron up.
Bring Aaron back up. Let me ask you this, Aaron. When it comes to what I feel and what I could prove, who had the better argument?
Aaron, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to think.
Okay, my bad. Go ahead, take all the time you need.
Rachel,
I think
Aaron, let me hold real quick. Sorry to interrupt you. Rachel, there's a link that I have pinned in my chat. I believe DL has also pinned in his chat. You just click that link. It says, I'm looking at my screen right now. So at the very bottom of the chat feed, it says StreamYard.com, right? You just click that link. It'll bring you to the chat or bring you onto the stage here. And then you can hop on that way. I'm sorry.
It's real easy, sis. It'll walk you through it. You just gotta click it, and there's a couple things it'll ask you, and then boom, you're here. So, but yeah, Aaron.
Rachel, you don't have to download the app. I'm sorry.
So I want to answer your question, but I want to kind of answer your question by asking you a question, right?
How are you going to answer the question by asking me a question?
Do you
answer the fucking question, Glenn? Get him, bro. Get him, bro.
Hold on. This is like a Candace Owens debate tactic.
There we go. Right?
You a question by answer. Let me answer your question by asking you a question. Oh no, we ain't doing that. Answer the question.
Okay,
get him.
I'll answer the question, but I'll also ask the question that you don't have to answer. I'll make it rhetorical, right?
All right.
I believe that the evidence is overwhelming that Tyler Robinson unalived Charlie Kirk. I think it's overwhelming. And I'm sure you would agree with that, right?
I think the evidence that we have right now is definitely damning, and I think is enough to try Tyler Robinson for the murder of Charlie Kirk.
Okay. So here's the problem then, right? Because we both agree with that. Why is there a question about who won the debate? I think that this should have been, for someone of Andrew's stature, and I think that the last guy who just made that comment was spot on. Andrew should have went on there and wiped the floor with her. But I think the fact that we're having a conversation about who won the debate might be indicative of the fact that that did not happen. And I think it didn't happen for a few reasons. I think one, Andrew doesn't know about the case. Mm-hmm. That's just the truth. He does not have the information, right? I think that there were plenty of other people that actually put time into this case, that genuinely cared about the case, that could have stopped Candace whenever she was coming up with all these different theories and stuff, and immediately put out every single last detail like a prosecutor and say, hey, this is incorrect. This is incorrect. He couldn't do that because Andrew has great recall. I watch his debates. He has amazing recall. That's one of the reasons why he's really good, because in a debate, he can remind his opponent about what they just said and how it's a contradiction with what they said 5 minutes ago. He couldn't do that here because his recall was gone, because he doesn't have the information about the case. So there were several points. For example, when she brought up the fact, and this was devastating to his argument, when she brought up the fact that the things that he relies on as facts about the case are actually all just hearsay according to
their rules.
The law, their rules in Utah. That was extremely devastating that he did not know that. Not saying that that's a good argument from her, but the fact that he doesn't have a rebuttal makes the argument strong. So it's like someone throws a punch at you, right? And it's a weak punch, right? But you just stand there and you let him punch you in the face and you don't return the punch, then it makes that punch look good.
Yeah, but I think he, in the closing argument, he actually points that out, right? He's like, wait a minute, you're saying that it's all about hearsay and you're dismissing the hearsay, but you want us to accept your hearsay. That's a contradiction, right?
Mhm.
Like, so
that would have
like,
been good to do during the debate, but unfortunately, at closing statements, like you have to do that, and when you're having an exchange. But I think again, what the last caller said, one, I disagree that he should have came out there and looked at the camera and spoke to women. First of all, Andrew doesn't have the best of a reputation with female audience, so that wouldn't have been a smart thing to do. I don't think that would have been a good method. He should have came out there and just been aggressive, and when Candace said something, not go back.
One question real quick. Hey Rachel, I see you in the back. Can you just like wave your hand or smile at me just so I know that you're not going to, like, porn bomb us by any means? I just need to see some human movement right before I bring you up. People have been known to, and I know Andrew. Okay, thank you. I'll bring you up shortly.
Aaron,
after.
Let's let Aaron finish.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Aaron finish, and then because I have a question for Aaron, and then we'll let him wrap up, and then Rachel will bring you up. Thank you.
Don't go away, bro. We want to bring you back because I got some questions for you too. So if you can, hang out in the back chat.
Yeah. Go ahead. You can ask me a question.
So my question is, if we remove the likability, if all things were even, likability wise, again, who presented the better argument? Because I want to go to the substance, because this is where I'm thinking we're struggling. Feelings over what is real, right? Candace's argument had a lot to do with feelings, nothing that she could prove beyond any reasonable doubt of evidence, right? She can't prove that the confession that he made was not him. She can't prove that Israel was involved. She can't prove that France was involved. She can't prove that, there was a patsy. And that was her main argument, that there was a patsy. She couldn't even prove that in her own debate. So all her major points she could not prove. So taking away the feelings of the argument and what was able to be proven, who do you think won?
Yeah, that's actually a great point you just made. I would say if we're using that as the criteria, even though I don't think that's a good criteria to use when you're judging a debate, I would say that Andrew basically won the debate. But I think that with that, you do have to understand what you just did. You basically stripped away all of the good things that Candace did by like reframing them. Like, for example, when Candace is catching Andrew in gotchas, for an example, right? About things that are substantive, right? Because if we're up here talking about the evidence of a case, but you don't know any of the charges pertaining to the case, that's a genuine gotcha. That's not a gotcha like in the sense of like, just to show that it's like, hey, this guy haven't even researched the case, right? When those sorts of moments happen, Andrew's response needs to be, actually, that's actually correct, but can you show me why that disproves my argument? You're right. I didn't know what the charges were. Can you tell me how that disproves my argument? See how he didn't do that because he was clearly affected by the fact that she caught him, and he didn't think quick enough on his feet to say, hey, Candace, even if I don't know anything about any of the charges, how does it prove your point?
Yeah.
That's what I expect from Andrew. That's what he's good at. But because she's doing things to him that he isn't used to his opponents doing, which is not being rattled, this is another big thing, and I'll let you guys bring the other caller. I'll go in the back channel. This is probably one of the first times I've seen someone be more charismatic than Andrew in a conversation. Usually Andrew is extremely funny.
I would agree with you.
He's very charismatic. Candace was extremely on, like he would make a joke. Like, for example, when she asked about why Erica Kirk being retarded, he's like, I think all women are retarded. And he laughed, and then like she just like made this face at him and like looked at PBD, and PBD just looking like, it's like, that's not the right joke right now to make. I think in that moment, you need to say, hey, you guys, that actually wasn't the right thing for me to say, but guess what? Today I'm here, like actually, but not make a joke about it. And then after he makes that joke, he said, I just tongue in cheek. and he's clearly embarrassed about the comment, but he doesn't.
That
know
was
how
his
to
way of
handle it.
realizing I fucked that up. Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
like I said, Candace was she was consistently on the attack, and he seemed to be on his heels most of that. But like the last phase is when he came into his own, he began to attack. Aaron, please don't go away, bro. We want to definitely bring you back up.
All right. Real quick. We got a $50 super chat. I'm gonna drop Aaron real quick. We got a $50 super chat coming from Why Oh When Can I? $50 says, been hearing about you out there doing the thing, man. He says, LOL. Had to come through and show some love, stay solid, and keep exposing the fake-ish. I appreciate you, my bro. I appreciate you. Thank you for the $50 super chat. Thank you very, very, very much. All right, let's bring up Rachel. And then, I got a few more minutes and I got a jet. I got to be on another panel with Admiral Gibbs. We have a debate going on later on tonight.
Man, fuck your other panel, man. Stay over here, bro. We over here doing something real. You can't be running. What's wrong with you?
Ain't nobody running. How you doing, Rachel? How you doing tonight, dear?
Doing good. I've never seen you guys before, so I honestly don't know how this works, but I saw the debate and I'm just so floored that anybody's saying that Andrew, is that his name? Andrew, that he won?
Yeah, Andrew Wilson.
Yeah,
yes.
Andrew Wilson. So you think that he lost. Can you help me understand how Candace proved that any of the evidence that she has is credible and factual?
Well, what I actually want to do is go to the beginning, and I think they I think that the host or the moderator alluded to this in the beginning. Here's my entire take on the entire debate. I think that this guy's trying to get more famous than he is, and he decided to put out this, I'm going to debate you for $300,000. I don't think he thought she would go for it. Then she did. Then, according to, and if you watch the very beginning of the debate, he starts talking about like a lot of crazy things went on and we were kind of thought it wouldn't even happen, but thank God everybody at the 11th hour decided to come. So I feel like he was trying to backpedal, because if you've ever watched Candace Owens, she came up with Charlie Kirk. This woman is a professional debater. This guy is used to bringing on like OnlyFans girls and being like, you shouldn't be a hoe. And it's like, oh, that's such a hard position. Like, he's not used to a brilliant, well-educated, seasoned, like, debater who came up alongside freaking Charlie Kirk. And I think that's what we're all forgetting too. She is an actual close friend that came up with him. So when you're not famous and he's not famous, that's always going to be a different relationship than like the on that come after you've blown up. So I think that he's forgetting, like, think of your like second best childhood best friend, or maybe your third best. I'm not saying they were the absolute best friends forever, but the reason, for example, she knows all the minutia of this case, why she could list all 7 things off the top of her head, is because this was her friend. Imagine your friend was murdered. You're going to care a lot more. It was very obvious to me that this guy is using this as a springboard for his career. This was probably, whether he won or lost, like his name's going to be trending, right? So
well, can I pause you there? Let me actually explain a little bit. So I am actually friends with Andrew Wilson. I've known him for many years. He has debated guys like Dinesh D'Souza, Matt Dillahunty. These are both very prominent debaters on a very political level. Actually, he just debated Dinesh D'Souza last month here in Dallas at Modern Day Debates. Very big. Yeah, he did win. It was on Zionism.
I don't know.
I'm just trying to clear a little bit of misinformation that you've had, because you said you don't know him. I'm giving you a little bit of information. So he has been on the debate circuit for quite some time now. Yes, he never went to colleges and did the college circuit like Charlie Kirk did, or like how Myron Gaines is doing, or how Steven Crowder's done. But he has been in the debate sphere very long, quite some time.
But what is debating though? I'm sorry, like there are some topics that are much more erudite and cerebral than others. Like I could get on here and debate like, oh yeah, women shouldn't be, turning on their, like, I don't know. There's things that take a more mental acuity than others, and I'm not sure that he's. Again, I don't know him. I could be totally.
That's why I'm saying I get it. You don't know him, so like.
So Glenn, 1 second. Let me jump in real quick. And Sister Rachel, appreciate you coming on. The reason I want to take this moment for you and the chat The reason me and Glenn actually collab is so we can have these conversations. Clearly, Sister Rachel, I don't think you're in part of these YouTube streets. How much did you know? Like, are you like a supporter of Candace Owens, or is this something that just fell into your feed? Just quick little background, because because a lot of people don't know who Andrew Wilson is, even though he's been on Joe Rogan twice.
Yeah. I grew up extremely conservative, working in conservative politics, Republican politics, since I was literally a teenager. I watched Sean Hannity 3 hours a day, Neil Boortz 4 hours a day. I was homeschooled. I mean, I am as conservative as it friggin' gets. So Southern Baptist upbringing. And then I realized, wow, these are some really messed up people, and these are some really messed up worldviews. But I also see the same thing on the left. I see extremism on both sides. So I'm now an independent. I'm not as familiar with current day figures. I started watching Candace Owens literally the day Charlie Kirk died. I didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was. I thought he was the guy that cries. Who's the conservative guy that's always crying? He's an old guy.
I know who you're talking about. Damn, what's his name?
Can never remember his name.
Because I can only think of the black dude Van Jones is always crying on the left. I didn't know they
No,
had
I
a
wanna
there's
say,
a
like,
black
Lindsey
there's a
Graham.
conservative Van Jones, huh?
Lindsey Graham would cry a lot.
It was talk shows. Anyway, I thought Charlie Kirk was a 70-year-old when I saw the oh my gosh, Charlie Kirk was shot. I thought this was like a Sean Hannity figure. I didn't know anything about him. So I started watching her because I'm like, interesting. I'm interested to see what people that know him, because I'm hearing all these things. Some people are celebrating that he's dead. I'm like, that's kind of bad taste. I don't really know too much about it. But I started watching Candace's thing, and I have watched since. And while I do think she wildly speculates, and also I do think that she shot herself.
Jordan Peterson. I'm sorry. You probably think of Jordan Peterson. Yeah. Thank you, Anthony, in the chat.
No, it's
DJ DeMarco.
Seen something, or I don't even remember. He's an old school. Again, I've been a conservative for a very long time. I'm no longer.
Don't tell your age now. Don't tell yourself.
Well, but
Well, let me ask you this. Because I saw you in the chat saying what do you mean by lefties or liberals, right? Would you agree with me that the furry community is lefty?
I honestly don't know. And actually probably not. I don't know. I guess there are people that dress up and do. The thing is, today there's almost you can't really tell the way you used to be able to tell. So you could say oh, you're pro-Palestine, you're on the left. It's no, I'm actually a right-wing, borderline neo-Nazi. You know what I mean?
Okay, let me ask you this. So if you are for LGBTQ, furries, socialism, is that conservative values?
Wait, are you asking me if I'm for that?
No, I'm asking if you hold that worldview in general, is that conservative values?
With people on the left, but I also know, for example,
I'm just on average. I'm just not people but I'm saying on average, if you are LGBTQ,
yes.
Would you be considered on the left or a liberal?
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay, so when I was saying when Charlie Kirk said the lefties were going to try to kill him, that would be the very community that he was afraid about when he said lefties, because you have to understand he was actually debating a lot against transgenderism, and so by him saying that there's no such thing, men cannot be women, right? That will be the lefties that have been threatening him, not Israel, not Palestine, not nothing to do with that, but it had to do with the trans community that felt that they felt that he was attacking them. Why not?
To be someone in the spirit of Andrew or Candace, either person today, that's not what he said. He said the left. The left is what every Democrat, every person that supports gay.
But would that also include the LGBTQ trans group too, right?
Potentially, but I mean that's hardly concrete evidence. That is literally anyone. How many people? 10% of the population are a member of the LGBTQ community. So 10% of the U.S. population. So what? We have 330 million. So 330,000 people are suspect. It's just so.
Well, let me ask you this: out of Out of all, how many LGBTQ plus people are conservatives?
I know a few.
Yeah,
Lindsay,
A few. A few. So like, the number is just like completely different, right? There's more of them on the left than there is on the right.
Well, obviously,
right?
some people think that they deserve to have like basic rights, like the right to marry the person that they love, and other people don't. So that's just like, but I don't think it actually means anything about you holistically. Like, I know a lot of people that are fiscal conservatives but are gay. So it's kind of, I mean, I understand. I'm not like, I definitely understand that they're stereotypically, yes, X, Y, and Z, but I honestly don't see the relevance because Charlie Kirk doesn't know who killed him. And neither do we.
Well, of course he doesn't know who killed him.
I think the entire flawed premise was that I noticed that Andrew backed out of, I can only assume, but I'm very good at reading people, that when he couched his premise in like, well, all I'm saying is overwhelming evidence is just what I think is compelling. I'm sorry, but how can he even argue that? I can't argue what you think. What if you're batshit crazy? Like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying he is, but it was just such the threshold of proof was so absurd. The whole debate was absurd. And then it goes on to have people, Candace, he also acts like Candace is a freaking court of law, and whatever she decides is gonna like send somebody to the death chamber. Candace is somebody who's on there who I genuinely think, and having watched from the beginning, and I'm not someone who is in a position to like Candace Owens. So I'm not like rooting for her. I genuinely think she sincerely is looking for the person who actually killed her friend. I think that she has seen the genocide in Gaza and all of these other things, which, like has happened to me, has absolutely and completely destroyed my faith in our government. I genuinely thought we uphold the Geneva Conventions. I genuinely thought Article 4 meant something to people in this country. But the illusions are shattering right and left, and I don't think anybody can deny that. Donald Trump said no new wars. We're in a new war. I mean, everything that was promised, the mask is falling, not just in our society, but especially in our society. I don't know if it's because the wealth gap is greater now than it was during the Gilded Age, or they just don't have to care what Joe Schmoes think anymore. But people,
yeah, but I think we're talking about two separate things right now. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I don't want you to think I don't agree with you when it comes to what happened with Gaza, what Trump said. I agree with you 100%. I don't think that
I agree to
but what I'm trying to get at when it comes to the claims, and actually let me just actually pause real quick.
Well, hold on 1 second, Glenn. Glenn, 1 second. Sister Rachel, I've been talking to Glenn, talking about optics for longer than just today. Me and him always talk about this, and I'm always a dude like, hey man, I'm sorry, but optics plays a big role.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking what I'm hearing right here, we've heard it from two of our three guests. Old Joe even touched on this a little bit. The optics is what killed Andrew right now. Glenn, you're just like, hey man, just the facts on the facts of what they were talking about. Because when Andrew win. No, hear me out. And I've already conceded that. I said, yeah, but it's not just that. And I think that we're spending a lot of time. You want to spend a lot of time on that. Well, because let me ask Rachel this. Like, Rachel, would you concede the fact that Andrew did possibly, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think he won on his merit as far as like the facts and all that. But again, I think she won on the on the optics. What's your take on that?
That's a hard disagree for me. So I think that what we're actually debating in this debate is, do we trust the powers that be? Do we trust the FBI? And when I watched this unfold. Literally, I heard, oh my gosh, Charlie Kirk was shot again. I didn't know who he was. Turn on my thing. I'm watching live. I watch the news all day, every day. Okay, like I'm that kind of person. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So I saw this all unfold in real time. We saw the utter and vast incompetence of the local Utah police. We have the guy in custody. Calm down, everyone. JK. Oh no, we don't have the guy. Everyone's still looking. I mean, it was am I allowed to swear?
Oh yeah, I fucking cuss all the damn time.
Please.
A shit show from the word go. And this is an unrelated case, but shows the same type of police department in the state of Utah. I don't know if you guys have seen the bricks and minifigs thing that Reckless Ben is doing. There is corruption in the Mormon community or in Utah in general. So I don't trust their police. Then we and Cash Patel coming in with his like bug eyes looking. I mean, she distrusts the system, and a lot of us do at this point.
I mean, okay, I got to give you credit for the Cash Patel line because we know that his girlfriend is, like, okay, nobody that attractive is with Bug Eye Boy. All right, she's a plant. I'll give you that. But let me ask you this, okay? Because I have no problem with distrusting the evidence of the government, right? I have no problem with that.
And I think that's what she was doing.
But I don't think that her case actually has any evidence to support otherwise. Like she can't say Israel did it without any dots connecting to Israel doing it.
Well, and this is one thing that I actually don't like about Candace Owens. I do think she has more information than she's sharing. I think she is trickling it out for, to create content for her show. But I also think that when I watch a lot of true crime, and I don't think Candace is saying I have proof of all these things. I think she's saying I see, like when you watch like say 48 Hours, it's like the husband was a doctor and was cheating with his secretary, and all of a sudden his wife is gunned down by a clown. You assume, oh, the husband had the motive. He was having an affair. I think she's pointing to motive. I think she believes that, I don't think she's expressed herself well, because I think that she could have done, I almost disagree fundamentally on the take. I think optically she could have done better, because I was like, Candace, why don't you say this? Why don't you say that? Instead, she's like, I'm just not even going to go there. I think she did this.
Let me ask you this. Did you ever watch the show How to Get Away with Murder?
I probably have.
You probably did. I knew it.
True crime. But I think what she's pointing to with Israel and all these things is when she talks about text messages she's received, people that she's spoken to within Turning Point, other mutual friends of Charlie, the sequence of events leading up to this was such organized in such a way that to her and to me, it makes a lot of sense, especially given the position that Israel, that they have the motive. Now, maybe she doesn't have or is not yet willing to share all of the evidence that she has that might point to that. But again, she's not pretending to be a court of law. That's something that I would have pointed out more if I were Candace. I think that
do you think like her like blatantly accusing the widow and TPUSA, Charlie Kirk's own organization, has any merit?
Yes. I don't know necessarily of this crime, but when you watch videos.
Well, no. I'm of this crime. It has to be of this crime, because she's trying to tie Erica Kirk and Candace and TPUSA to trying to cover up Charlie Kirk's assassination. She's saying the wife is potentially involved in the death of her husband without any evidence to support it.
I think she has evidence of motive, of behavior that isn't adding up. And I don't think, again, she made this point, and I was glad she made this point. She, in the beginning, I remember she was like standing for Erica, and all the people were like, Candace, are you crazy? They thought she had been bought by the Israelis. Like, people were accusing her, Candace Owens, of this. So she was apparently, until she went and met with Erica, that's why she said that thing like in the beginning, like, what would make you stop this investigation? Her initial response was, well, if Erica came out and said stop. Like, she did not initially suspect Erica, but even when you go back, apparently, I don't know if you guys probably already know this, apparently Erica Kirk first saw or met Charlie Kirk in Israel.
Yep. I know. Trust me. I am well informed on like the line of like how they met. They originally saw in Israel. And then she ends up interviewing for him. It's kind of like as if she was trying to like almost groomed for him. Like I get that like that information.
Crazy optics, Glenn. Crazy optics right there.
It is crazy optics, but I do have to move on, Rachel. I don't want but before I move on,
let Rachel get her last words in.
I will. But I want to ask her something real quick. In the back, Rachel, do you like to do debates? Because you seem to be very good at it.
I only recently, like in the last 2 months, went on my first podcast, but I'm just some girl who's always liked politics. So I've never.
Well, let me extend this invitation to you. I'm hosting a big debate show in Nashville, looking for debaters on a wide variety of topics. If you would like to be a part of this, it's with a very well-known, established brand of debate shows. the guy that is running the debate show is actually a very well-known comedian. It's also friends with DL Saint. And I'm looking for debaters. So if you want to put your contact information in the private chat, it says private chat. I'm not sure if you can see it. Since you're on your phone, to click I think that there might be 3 buttons or 3 little dots. Click that. It says like comments, and then on the top it says like private chat, comments, or whatever. If you want to like give me your contact information so I can contact you after this, and to give you a little more information about the debate show that we can do.
Let's do it the other way around. If you can, because I don't want her to put her information in the wrong chat and it winds up with all the mutants can see it.
So, yeah. I'll just put my contact information.
There you go.
The private chat. And you can just text me at this number. It's my business number. And we could just chat further about that. But go ahead and finish your last statement, because I do have a guy named Patrick in the back, and we do have Aaron still with us, and I want to get back to them soon.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember what I was saying, but basically I think that fundamentally I do think Candace won, because I think that her entire premise is that she is not necessarily trying. She's not a court of law. She's not trying to say this would be admissible in court. She's trying to say, here's what makes sense to me, and here's tips that I've gotten. And have you guys seen this? Can any expert weigh in on this? I genuinely think she's trying to solve the murder of one of her good friends, and he's acting like she is a judge that is doing malpractice. And I think that's why the whole debate was kind of just a joke.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that your input. Did you see the private chat light up with my phone number, my business line in the back?
Let me check. I believe, are you Glenn?
I am Glenn.
He's Glenn.
Okay, and just text you.
Yep, just text me, and we can talk further about the debates that I have coming up, and you being a part of it somehow, if you're interested.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, I just happened to cross your channel. I have no idea who anyone here is, but I'm glad I got to know you guys. So thank you for having me on.
Appreciate you, Rachel. Make sure you like and subscribe on both our platforms, please. We need that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Go ahead and stay in the back chat until you get the number, and then go ahead and leave whenever you're ready. All right?
Okay. You have a good night.
You too.
Take care.
So, all right. We have Patrick. I want to bring Patrick up. He's a new one that's been waiting, and then we'll bring back Aaron. Aaron, if that's cool, because we had Aaron up already. So here's Patrick. What's up, Patrick?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, real quick. Yes. Can I let me go ahead and acknowledge a couple of super chats here, okay? We had Ghost come in with the $5 super chat. Everyone should send Candace their alibis. We already did when can I? Shout out for the $3 super chat. Thank you, sir. Unashamed apologetics. I believe this is Aaron.
Yes,
it is Aaron. He says, "Great show, guys. Thanks for bringing me up. I appreciate you, Aaron. We're gonna get some apologetics.
I say we close out with Aaron. So when we bring Aaron back up, that's when we'll close out with him. But thank you everybody for supporting.
I do want to comment on this individual. What does Glenn think of Andrew's alleged stolen valor? It's not stolen valor. I actually have his military documents. He sent them to me.
He has 214, and it was what I thought it was. Like he got hurt. He got out early. Basically, it wasn't stolen valor. He was inducted. He rose his right hand. He was in the United States Army. He just didn't complete that initial enlistment. And from Glenn sharing that information with his DD-214. Anybody in the military knows that's what you need. That's all you need is a DD-214. And all of the people saying, like even Valhalla and those guys were saying it was stolen valor. They're saying it's like they're backing away from that, it seems. So and
the thing is, like, anybody that was running with that narrative without any information, to me, is blatantly lying. And to me, that's unhonorable. That's unhonorable and unbecoming, especially if you're military. And if you're gonna call someone out for stolen valor, you better make sure that you have evidence of they stole valor. Right? You don't get to just make those slanderous accusations against somebody without any proof. And like I said, I have Andrew's military separation letter and DD-214. I know exactly what his MOS was. I know exactly how long he was in training. I know all that stuff. And I'm not going to put that information out there because there is personal, private information on there that doesn't need to be said. But you know what? It is verified. And I other people have verified it too. So
he did serve like he served. He didn't, you know what I mean? He was in there and it went, his career went the way it went. Again, I'm a former paratrooper. I'm a veteran of Desert Storm. My career went the way it went. Glenn, you know, he's who is tip of the spear. PJ, his career went the way it went. But I agree with what Glenn just said. So let's get into it. Who we got here?
So Patrick, we had one more super chat. I'm sorry. And shout out to Clean and Sober Nation. Thank you for being clean and sober. We support everybody being clean and sober.
Yes, we do.
She says, first time visitor, good show, $5 super chat. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate your support. Well, love
Don DeMarco for her.
Yes, sir. Actually, I Clean and Sober Nation. Actually, I found your channel and I actually was following your channel I think a little while ago. I do watch some of your content. I think you have a good show as well. I would love to collaborate with you. Make sure you reach out to me, and if you want to do a collaboration, it'll be really good. So on to Patrick. Patrick, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir.
Damn,
Cool.
bro, your audio sounds better than mine. I'm jealous, Patrick, man. What the fuck, bro? Let me go get it.
Oh, man, thank you. Thank you.
Bro, who won? Who lost? Let's hear it.
Well, so I definitely, Candace came out ahead in the whole situation with that the seven charges question at the end, and then being able to do what she did, and then at any rate, are y'all? I was trying to gather. I think y'all are on Team Andrew. Is that what I'm gathering, or what's going on with that?
I'll start. I'm on the outside looking in. I don't have a dog in this fight.
Okay.
I'm neither Team Andrew nor Team Candace. I watch, you know, I know who they are. Never met or done any content with Candace, but I have tangled with Andrew, and you know, I respect what he does.
Okay,
Glenn.
So I'll be honest with you guys. Full you know, transparency, disclosure. I am Andrew's friend. So I know that people are going to say that I am biased. But I already laid out why I thought he won this debate. And I would have to say that I don't want to put words in DL's mouth, but I believe DL, you agreed with me. Yeah. I said words, nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else.
No, I would say this. I would say Glenn goes more than the extra mile to overcome the fact that there's a little bias there, but Glenn, he does his best to be a straight shooter. He'll put his friendship aside and just look at, you see how hard he's going on the facts, right? That's how he is in real life, guys. Me and this dude have gone around and around and around on so many goddamn topics, bro. I'm telling you, I've had nightmares about this guy.
Fair enough. Cool. Well, I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around the round. Like, where's the round? Like,
the round?
Where's the bullet?
The bullet. So yeah. I mean, they removed the pieces of the projectile from him.
Yeah, but like, explain all. Like, how is there no exit wound? I mean, it seems like y'all. I think y'all are at least saying you're former military. I'm not former military, but I've been deer hunting.
Yeah, but if you've been deer hunting, you know that not every shot is going to have an exit wound. And depending on the angle and like the grain of the ammunition, right? There's a lot of factors that factor into that, right?
But there's been plenty of like just YouTubers that like do this test, and there's always an exit wound.
I'm with Patrick on this one. I'm with Patrick on this one. And Glenn, you know I'm with Patrick on this one. It's just one of those, man, I don't know. Not only just around the exit wound, and I get ballistics, and you can have all kind of crazy stuff.
That's a big round. I use a 270 when I go deer hunting.
And the range, though, we're talking about the distance and the distance. You know, if he took the shot from a mile away, okay, maybe. But, you know, bro.
Yeah, like where is this? And then we should be able to recover the bullet, right?
Well, not every round. Like, everybody knows that if you shoot a projectile, from the way that the ammunition hits the body, right? How the projectile hits the body, it breaks off in fragments.
Yeah, right? But I mean, we found more with less. Like,
again, like what we do know is that it was a 30-06 caliber round, and at least we don't know that. That's what the FBI and the forensic team has concluded based off the fragment.
But isn't that reasonable doubt?
No.
How's that not reasonable doubt? I think right here I got a hung jury. in this case, right?
I don't think it's reasonable doubt. I mean, like if you're gonna use the round as your main argument, then what about the confession?
Dude, that one. I mean, I'm not here to like support Candace by no means.
No, but I'm just saying, like just for argument's sake.
Yeah, that
he confessed to his parents.
Yeah, but I like even with like the JFK shooting, right? Like there's like there's the paperwork trail with all these things. There's like usually a paperwork trail that I usually like dismiss in my processing. I just try to like look at like what's possibly like physically evidence, like what's the physical evidence, right? And I don't understand how a human body escapes a deer round without an exit wound and without where's the bullet, like that like we should have. It was interesting. When I was doing the research on this, I found multiple people that use 30-06s in ballistic stuff. And one guy, he had like one that was like really credible, right, to kind of support the shooting narrative, but he still found the round. Like, so, like, where is the round?
I mean, I can't answer that question. I'm not on the investigation at all.
But shouldn't they be able to answer that at this point?
And maybe they will during the trial.
But they've already presented evidence, and they
presented enough evidence to suspect, or to say, hey, we have reason to move this case further, right? They don't have to provide all their evidence. That would be stupid of a prosecution team to show all their cards, right?
They practically do. That's like what you're supposed to do in these situations.
No,
right?
they're supposed to just provide just enough evidence to get the judge to see that there is enough evidence to take this to trial.
Okay, well, but like even at that, like if this should be like basic evidence that should be presented at this point, right? I mean, like how are we not like?
Well, you gotta wait till you actually get to the trial. They're only gonna. Glenn is onto something there, like you go through your prelims and all that kind of stuff. But right before the trial starts and discovery and all that, I don't know where they are in that part where the prosecution has to give all their information to the defense and vice versa. But let me ask you this, Patrick, just to kind of get you to play devil's advocate here. Is there anything on the other side of that? Is there anything to what Andrew was saying that kind of made you think maybe, you know what I mean? Did you hear anything in that debate slam conversation or whatever that made you kind of question?
Well, I mean, Andrew always will have the better ability to be like, well, prove what you think is what happened, right? Like that debate for Andrew is going to, which I think he tried to lean into it a few times. And Candace messed up with not going like, in my opinion, too factual with him on certain things. But his debate really needed to be about like her laying out the narrative, like what actually happened, right? And then picking apart her narrative. And I don't think he did that well. And by the end of it all, she really had the upper hand.
I don't think she laid out her case. She can't prove. She said
really have to. It's on.
Well, no, that she has the burden of proof. She has more. She's saying there's a patsy, that he is a patsy.
Yeah, but he has.
What evidence does she? No. If you're gonna make the claim that he is a patsy, she has to have the proof to support that claim.
Well,
not just say that.
I think what I'm saying is that he didn't focus in as hard as he should have in that regard. I do agree. I think we agree on, but maybe not saying it in the same way.
Do you? I mean, she claimed that he was a patsy. Was there any evidence that she could prove to you that supports that claim that he was a patsy?
Candace Owens has said some crazy ass shit in her life. Okay,
Facts.
I am not here to defend the crazy ass shit Candace Owens says. Okay.
Well,
I would not say that
was the crux of her. That's the crux of her whole debate, though. It's like, well, but he's a patsy. He didn't do it.
This Israel's is where Andrew gets into a really difficult situation because the burden of proof is really on him to show beyond a reasonable doubt that Tyler Robinson is guilty. And if you could just show one piece of like beyond just that little bit of reasonable doubt in a jury, right? And Andrew walked away. He even said in that debate that he was like still 75-85% for what he's seen. And I guarantee you,
but nobody is going to be 100%.
But that's
She's the
how
one-
our jury works. That's how our
But
judicial
she's
system
saying,
works.
but hold on, she's
It's
saying
beyond
that-
a reasonable doubt. Any
but
defense
she's saying
lawyer
beyond a reasonable
that's
doubt that
worth
she
their
believes.
salt
Well, hold
will
on,
not.
Hold on, real quick.
Hold on,
Hold on,
Patrick.
real quick. No,
She's
we're gonna
saying
we're gonna
beyond
no,
a
we're gonna
reasonable
hold on,
doubt.
Glenn. The fact that your whole thing is she has to prove her case. Patrick is saying, nah, dude's saying she's off. He has to prove it. What information does he has? And the fact is, there is no information for either side. So now you left with what? Okay, well, which side of this I think is more credible? Which person do I think is more credible? And and again, what we know about 30-06, 7.62, 5.56, what we know what bullets do to the information that we know.
9mm,
357,
almost
like
a 22.
Right. So what we know about our limited knowledge, some of us have more than others, but of ballistics and what we know what bullets do to the human body, again, that right there is just like, that's going to make a lot of people wonder. And we all agree, just like Rachel was saying, like the government is incompetent as fuck on this one. So
yeah,
I get where Patrick's coming from. But Glenn, to the point is, it's going to be hard for anyone to really say, well, no, we need facts to prove it wrong.
But again, this is what she cannot disprove. She can't disprove that he did not make the confession that he made.
I get that you want to focus in on Candace, but
No, I'm not focusing on. I'm not focusing on Candace. I'm focusing on the evidence that we have, that we know that for certain that they have presented. He confessed to the shooting. All right, a confession is a confession. You can say, "Well, we don't know if he made it." Well, you don't know that he didn't make it.
There's plausibility in that, and saying exactly that we don't know that he exactly made it because.
But you also can't. You can't
but
disprove that he did make it.
My theory doesn't necessarily rely on that. Mine is just about the bullet. I just want to know more about how a human body survives a 30-06 to the neck.
And what was that? 150 yards? What was that? 150 yards?
Yeah,
it was 150 yards.
This is pretty close range for a deer rifle, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I can't answer that question. But my point is to this
reasonable doubt to the narrative that Andrew
Sure.
had to preserve, and he was not successful in doing it.
Yeah, but at the same time, I would have to say that Candace was not able to prove that he was a patsy.
She
and that
doesn't
was her claim.
have to really.
But though she does have to, if you make extraordinary claims, you better have evidence to support extraordinary claims.
Just don't agree with that part, bro. I don't agree with that part. Unless she's the
it's
court.
almost like
Unless
it's almost
she's
like okay.
unless she's the prosecution.
Let me
I don't
ask
agree with
you
that part.
this. Let me ask you this. If I'm debating, if I go around and say that DL diddled a bunch of mice.
Why I gotta be done? Can we stick to guns? Can you
No,
just say, I went out there and I-
because this actually proves my point. So you're saying I believe that DL diddled a bunch of mice, right? And then if DL's like, well, prove your claim. I don't have to prove my claim. I don't have to. There's a mouse around him.
So look, you don't have to prove your claim, but
ridiculous.
if they arrest me for that and charge me for that because
They have
cruelty
to
to
prove
animals, cruelty to animals, if they arrest me for that, they're gonna come to you and ask you to come and testify. And then we're gonna hear your testimony, and we're gonna take that testimony and whatever you got to say, and we're gonna put that with the other evidence, and then we're gonna make a determination. 12 people are gonna look at that, and they're gonna determine if DL Saint actually did diddle a bunch of mice. You know what I'm saying? Which free DL Saint, by the way, free him, free DL Saint. So no, again,
guilty.
But here's the thing, though. It's all speculation until you get to the hearing. So you can say what you want to say. She can say what she want to say. Andrew can say what he wants to say. The burden of proof is on the person who is accusing the other person of, I guess, lying or believing a falsehood.
But that's what they both did. They both.
But again, I'm with Patrick on this. Again, and then it boils down to, all right, you know what I mean? What about that round? What about that round? You know what I'm saying? Never mind the fact that, again, yeah, and my thing is, before we even get to that shot being fired, how the hell did he get up there, right? Low crawl into position, put that weapon together without nobody seeing it, fire one cold bore shot. And Glenn and I both agree on this. Glenn and I both agree on this. It was a lucky shot. You know what I mean? It's like,
he hit his target. It's not a lucky shot if you hit.
No, it was fucking lucky.
No one, in a sense that no one was aiming for the neck. You feel me? Like either you trying to score a headshot or yeah.
I think he was either. I think he was aiming too low or aiming too high.
No, but Patrick, you know what I mean by that. Like you're gonna aim. You're aiming where you aim. If your round hits the deer, you're happy you hit right.
In a few seconds, put this rifle together, okay? Which I have seen that kind of cheap ass Mauser before, right? And like why are you putting like I didn't even really understand you could put like take it apart, but but you take it apart and it's still almost 3 feet long. You know,
you need a screwdriver to do it. It's not like you're taking apart a NATO weapon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. And then you put it together, and then you got to hit the target at 100 and some odd, whatever it is, right? I mean, under pressure, right? Like it just doesn't add up.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're lying prone, unsupported. Jesus,
Again,
I mean, you just.
I told you that like it was a fucking lucky shot, but from 150 yards away, right? All he has to do is try to aim at.
Here's what I can say. I would trust my grandpa to make that shot, but I don't even think I could trust myself to make some type of shot like that. Like,
I mean, I know I could have shot. I was shooting with grid one.
I've been on target with like paper and whatever else, right? I've never had to shoot at a human before. I don't know what that experience is, but clearly Tyler didn't either, right? And like that experience and the whole, I mean, it just questions the narrative. The official narrative has to be 100% airtight in order for a conviction to happen.
Yes, and I don't think we get that until we go to court.
Do you
But Glenn, I'm with Patrick on this. But Glenn, I'm with Patrick on this, man. It presents a really big question. And
sure,
I'm with Patrick on this.
But that's why we have a trial. That's why we have a court system, right?
Yeah,
that's why we can't. This is the problem with these conversations.
And I should be Tyler's lawyer at this point because
his lawyer's probably preparing
waiting for this. Yeah, I mean, apparently, if it was true today, I learned something new where they don't have his defense doesn't have access to the cell phone records. Like if that was true, that's pretty bad in my opinion.
I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know, but I do know this is what I find interesting with the defense motion. The defense motion is not to say that he didn't do it. It's to take the death penalty off the table.
Well, no, but again, like we said, Glenn, this is the first motion of many. And if they don't have discovery yet, which I don't know, again, I'm not really following this thing too tight. Candace would know because she's following this thing like a hawk. But if they haven't done discovery yet, it makes sense to me that the defense will be waiting for discovery.
Yeah,
and
they're
once
waiting for the trial. I mean, and they've already got a glimpse of what the defense has evidence-wise. And if you're sitting there now with this, like now you're actually filing an appeal, for a lesser offense on one of the things. It's like, unfortunately, like we think that like legal stuff like is just so quick, but like there's
it's not
filings
it's very like the slow process.
They got to make their money.
They have to be true. The process has to be slow for a reason because you don't want to put an innocent man in jail. Now,
and I think right now I could probably say that Tyler Robbins is probably like something. He has something to do with this, but like the actual trigger person, like I don't buy at all.
So here, real quick, Glenn, because we're definitely beating a dead horse here. I just wanted to give Patrick an opportunity to get his final thoughts, and we're gonna pull up Aaron and we're gonna wrap it up because we both got to get going. It's Friday night. My daughter's in the band, so I know.
Oh, fair enough. No, yeah.
so Pat,
Glenn's yelling at me right now because I'm supposed to be in a debate right now. So
I know. Well, one thing I forgot to was shout out Rachel. She did a pretty good job too. So, but it was nice conversation to have with y'all. I think I proved my point over the matter. So, again, thanks for hosting me. But yeah, y'all, you enjoy your band night with your daughter, and tell Andrew that he took a losing position from the get-go. If I mean, there was really no winning with this one. And Candace she only had one kill shot on him. She could have had multiple, in my opinion.
All right, well, Patrick, I appreciate your opinion.
All right, adios.
Have a good one. All right, Aaron, wrap it up for us real quick.
Appreciate you. And thanks for waiting, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no doubt. I just realized, because I know nothing about bullets or any of this stuff, right? That's a crazy ass point. I just looked and it says It says the standard for measuring projectile penetration is a 10% gelatin, which is scientifically calibrated to mimic the density and resistance of human soft tissue. In standardized testing, a 30-06 bullet fired at distances matching or exceeding 100 to 150 yards routinely achieves penetration up at 19 or over 35 inches of penetration. The neck is only 4 to 5. So it's that, and in 100% of cases, it says 100%. It says 19 to 35 inches is traveling through in 100% of cases from that range. That shit is crazy. Like, that's crazy.
Science is a motherfucker, and this is why people are looking at this like, "Yo, this is the first thing I looked at."
I didn't even know that.
I thought it was. You didn't even know that. So first,
No,
when
I
this
didn't know
first
that.
happened, when it first happened, they were kind of showing this is where we think the shot was taken from, and this and that. This is where the target was. I'm looking at it. I'm like, damn. Okay. You know, people are like, that's not a lot of distance, but I'm like, that's a hell of an angle, right? It's one hell of an angle. And, you know, you got like the awnings and everything that was on the stage. There's a lot of people. I'm like, okay, all right, you need a pro to hit this target, right? And then it's like one shot, cold barrel. Holy hell. And then you're going to show me this weapon? I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know, bro.
That's tough. I guess what I wanted to close with, because my wife gonna hate me for saying this. I actually enjoy Andrew's content, right? I really, really do.
Somebody sleeping on the couch tonight. You ain't getting in the bed tonight with that bullshit, bro.
I was really, really expecting. If you would ask me to put money on this, I would have put a bunch of money on Andrew, because I'm very familiar with his content. I've watched pretty much all his videos that he does, because I enjoy his content. And I learn a lot from it because I'm an apologist. So I debate a lot. This was not a good performance. This is the first time I've seen him rattled in a debate, to be completely honest. And that says something. So we can agree that Candace Owens is a Looney Tunes, clearly. But that has nothing to do with the fact that this wasn't a good choice for him to get in there, debate a conspiracy theorist. I don't think it's a good idea to debate those types. Alex Jones is a prime example of this, right? Alex Jones is a notorious conspiracy theorist. And in debates, and I've watched Alex Jones debates, he makes his opponents look stupid because he's a conspiracy theorist. I mean, he doesn't have anything to prove. The person who's the non-conspiracy theorist, the person who is the quote unquote, the one that's believing the government, right? They're the one that has to make the great argument. And I just, for the life of me, don't understand why he would get in the ring with her, because this was in some ways very embarrassing for him. But those are my comments. And I know those people don't want to hear that, especially the Andrew Wilson fans, but I'm a supporter, so I'm just giving you an honest take here.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate your opinion.
That, man.
I do got to get going. I do really apologize for that. I do have to get going right now. I do have to be in another debate. So that being said, hold on, let me just switch this.
So, Aaron, I really appreciate you coming up here and helping us out, man, and being patient. Tell everybody where to find you, man. You doing content? Like, what's your deal?
Yeah, so I do a lot of TikTok right now. I just set up this studio about a week ago, so I'm gonna start getting into YouTube a little more. But you'll see me here soon. I'm gonna be on the debate, doing a lot of debates here soon with a lot of guys. So yeah, right now, so far, you can just find me at God Over Clout on TikTok. That's about it.
Hit me up. Like I told Rachel, I have a debate show coming up in Nashville. If you want to be a part of it, let me know. I'll definitely bring you on. You know,
his number's in the back chat.
Yeah, I got it. I saved it. Yep, I got you.
Hit me up. Appreciate you coming on. Sorry I have to rush, guys. I have a prior engagement that I got to go to.
Good show, man. Appreciate you having me on, bro.
No, appreciate it. It was a great show. Tell us what you guys think in the chat. Hit the like, subscribe, leave your comments. Aaron, it was great having you on.
Yeah, man.
You guys, other than that, we got to go. This show was brought to you by what?
This episode was brought to you by Tactical Soap from Grondike Soap Company, a game changer in men's grooming, crafted with natural pheromones